Hello and welcome to Challenger League live at the WDG Esports Studio. We're here for the bottom side of the bracket, where one team will have to go home and one team is going to get another chance to play later on next week on Monday in the losers finals and have a chance of making it to the championship.
Yeah, it is going to be a very important matchup between these two teams. Two teams have had very inconsistent performances throughout the season, but consistent enough to make a pretty nice spot in the playoffs. I think DRX looking very strong at the end of the season. Hanwha Life mostly looking very good at round two, but at the end of round two slipping a little bit. Still, I think we're the favorites. I mean, to me, against D+, and had a nice lead in that series, let it slip, and that's why they are here in the first place. Whereas on the side of DRX, really nice series from Nongshim to knock them down to the lower bracket, as Nongshim are now already seeded into the finals. So looking very good on there. And the winner of this series, as you just mentioned, will play against D+ in that lower bracket finals to decide who's going to meet Nongshim for that rematch potentially.
Yeah, it's a big deal. And, you know, we don't have Challengers Worlds yet, but maybe in the future. And
that would be
perhaps
sick.
Like the one team that won the finals of summer could go, but not meant to be. For now, you're just getting a lot of prestige, you're getting some money, you're getting some pride, obviously, for winning the finals. So, yeah. How are you guys doing in the chat? We do have, so these players are at least Challenger. Yeah, you would assume so. Although I wouldn't be surprised if, like, one guy, like, dips in the Grandmaster. I don't know who that would be, but could be possible. And, yes, bronze as well. Hello to you, YouTube chat as well. It's Friday, and it's 5 p.m., so we're going to cast this, and then we're going to drive to Daejeon.
That's right. So Valdez and I are road tripping our way over to Daejeon. It's not that far. It's going to be like an hour and a half probably at most. We'll see what traffic's like. But it's not that far to get to Daejeon by car. We'll see, again, how traffic is like and how quickly Valdez puts the pedal to the metal. But, yeah, it's going to be a pretty fun day for us. We got action-packed League of Legends into League of Legends tomorrow, where we'll, of course, have that lower bracket final for the LCK. So if you're watching here expecting that this was because you got your notification, oh my god, it's T1 versus KT, set your clocks to about 2 hours earlier than this current time for tomorrow in your time zone.
So 22 hours from now?
Yes, 22 hours from now. That's right.
Wow.
So it's going to be a big weekend. And then, of course, right after the weekend, as mentioned, D+ will play against the winner of this series.
Main LCK channel is live, though. That's probably a mistake. Oh, it's FanFesta. Never mind. Well, you can watch that on your second monitor, but make sure you're keeping it live to watch Hanwha Life Esports versus DRX. The loser is out. The winner gets another chance, as it is double elimination now in our playoffs. And both of these teams have taken a loss apiece so far, but still definitely very strong challengers teams.
Hanwha Life bringing the boy band energy with that set of profile shots there. They're going to walk out first here. And Hanwha, I mean, this team needs no introduction. If Romer is on, this team, I think, definitely could take this series. But I think what their biggest challenge is going to be is the bottom lane. As Duro is also a fantastic support player, but Lure, a little bit inconsistent in his last few matches, will need to turn it on in a big way. A very excited player, very vocal AD carry. You know, usually the AD carry players generally in Korea end up being the quieter, more reserved ones, especially the younger ones, right? Like older ones like Deft, you know, a lot more vocal, but Lure, he is he's a very loud guy, and he's definitely going to get, when the team is down, he's still going to try to bring him back up, but his play needs to be at its best if they're going to advance and play against D+.
Yeah, I mean, you know, at this level of challengers, these teams have a lot of talent individually, and even as a team, we've seen a lot of good stuff from Hanwha Life Esports. As you can see, the KDA over the playoff 8 games that they have played very high. The regular season matches against DRX were also quite close, including that second one, which was actually after Ducktom had entered the lineup. So that's the one that Hanwha Life Esports did win, as well as the first one, actually. That kind of confused me because it was swapped around.
Yeah, me too. I actually thought it was a 1-1 at first, but
Hanwha Life Esports have beaten DRX at every turn so far.
Yeah. Look at Romer's KDA in playoffs.
Large.
Pretty big. And this is obviously
sizable.
Coming off of a loss as well against D+. He's still just so hard to kill. and Lure as well. I think the carry here of the Hanwha Life Esports team is going to have to be the mid lane, but let's introduce DRX. As you mentioned, DuckDom rejoining the squad. They're going to walk out. Get out here, DRX. That's right, you got a game to play. Best of 5 here.
Stop delaying. Get out here on stage. As everybody is smiles. Good to see Sponge in a good mood?
Yeah.
I was like, what's the word? Yes, it's mood. Yeah, he's he's looking good, as are everybody on the side of DRX. Not looking too nervous.
Is it
and that's
okay?
important.
Is this just me? I want to ask you, Valas and Chatter. Does DuckDom look like he gets younger every year?
He does, yeah.
He's just got good skincare or something. I don't know. He looks younger every year. He looks less jaded.
It's
He
the
looks
hair
like
as
he's
well.
enjoying the game more every time. Yeah, I think the hair too.
I think playing on the Challengers League roster instead of LCK, probably less stress. You know, you're kind of just playing your game. You're playing pretty well. You're definitely known as one of the best players in the entire league. Coming down from the LCK, where he did play for multiple seasons. So I'm sure for DuckDom, he's having a good time.
Yeah. Definitely one of the most dominant players in the LCK. Some huge DuckDom fans here as we speak about him. And DRX, one of the big fan favorites, I think, to take all of Challengers. They have been such a good roster. We've seen them do it in the past. Even with all the changes they've made to this team, they're still a dominant force here. And one of the dark horses that could take it all. 2 stepping stones left to get to the finals. See their unfortunate defeat at the hands of D+ in Spring 1-3. And in terms of KDA here, definitely not as impressive as Hanwha Life, but Hanwha had such dominant games against D+. The stats are a little bit skewed.
Apparently we are Emerald tier casting, Wolf. I mean, we are
Is
the
that
cringe
good or
duo.
bad?
Well, Emerald is below Diamond, so it's, you know, it's not top tier, but it's the new tier. It's cool.
At least we can spell Emerald right. What's a popet, anyways? Playoff pet?
Yes, that's what it is.
Just wanted to tease.
Got him. Okay, let's take a look at some team stats. As is always very important, we need to focus in on the HLE just to make sure we know what level it's at. But yeah, pretty similar numbers across the board here for both teams.
Yeah. Playoff games a little bit longer here for Hanwha Life. I think one particular game does come to mind. At the game against D+, where they lost the Baron and lost the game, and then subsequently lost the series. Bit of a longer one on that one. And then in terms of first blood percentages here, much stronger early game for Hanwha Life. And, you know, the early game here for DRX hasn't been as dominant, but that's okay, because it's not always about that, especially in this meta and especially in Challengers. But hey, when they get that first blood, you know, it's 1 out of 4 times. They've never lost. Not in playoffs, anyways.
Yeah, not in the 8 games that they have played. Of course, they have lost some games where they have not gotten first blood.
Yeah, we can like do the math. Like they got it 2 games and then won both of those.
Yeah, that works.
We did the math.
Yeah, we did the math. Hashtag. I love Valdez. I wish the LCK casters were real. The LCK ones are real. The ones here that do Challengers are not. We are just the AI versions of ourselves.
Yeah, I want to be real Wolf real bad, but this is never going to happen.
So take a look at these spreads. Once again, we're not a big fan of the Hojin 3-0, but he keeps doing that. And everybody else, I feel like, just mostly 3-2s to either team.
Yeah, I guess I ended up going for Hanwha Life in the end. I couldn't remember, to be honest. Like, that's how close I think this one should be. I couldn't remember who I predicted. But I did, I guess, ultimately go for Hanwha Life. I think a vote in the roamer basket with how critical mid has seemed to be in this playoffs here for Challengers. But I think it could definitely go either way. I think you feel the same way with your 3-2.
Yeah. And DRX did win tic-tac-toe. They got the top row, and for some reason, for some reason, Hanwha Life Esports did not block that. I don't know why. Looks like DRX did go first with Shy there in the middle, but yeah, it seems like Hanwha Life Esports kind of struggling in terms of tic-tac-toe. But if we do get into the League of Legends, we could see some differences And it all starts with the draft, although in Challengers it matters less than what we know in the LCK.
Although in this LCK playoffs, to be honest, it hasn't mattered as much as it usually does.
Yeah.
All right, so Tristana Poppy taken away here. No Sponge Poppy, no Sponge Nocturne. And let's see what the next ban here is. So total focus on Roamer versus a focus on Sponge is the trend thus far. LeBlanc has come up
LeBlanc?
big. Yeah.
LeBlanc?
LeShiv?
Yeah. What is it that Goldberg calls her? LeBlanc, I think?
I don't know.
Is that Goldberg? I think it is.
Sounds like a thing Goldberg would do.
Yeah. He's
With
got
his-
some things.
With his really fashionable clothes and like
Yeah.
really small notebook. I like it.
It all fits together. So Maokai is available.
Yeah, Maokai's up. That's going to get pretty insta-locked here. They can use some extra time if they want to. As the Xayah is also banned away, so the Kai'Sa got traded. So there's not a high prio 80 carry here. So we'll see what DRX is going to take here in response. Could just look for the safe Azir pick for Setab. Play a little bit more reactionary here.
What if they want to take away
Jax and Sejuani.
Jax Sejuani? I was thinking maybe Jace, but Jax Sejuani available. Our CL teams have decided this is the way it goes, and I don't blame them. I just wish they would play around it a little bit more when they do pick it. So let's see how DRX does with that.
Yeah, that's kind of been the trend is pick Sejuani, don't use it.
Use it for an ult in the bottom lane that misses. And then you're just like, oh, okay, well, I guess we're behind now.
There's that Jace you were talking about. Pretty no-brainer here for Roamer. And it's strong into pretty much all the meta matchups right now. Renekton going to come through here in response to the Jax. Renekton, Jace, Maokai, pretty standard, solid setup. The Azir will come in as a response, which is not a shocker at all. A pretty cool mid-matchup we can start with the Jace into the Azir.
Yeah. Another day, another Roamer slay. We'll see how that works out. Could be. We got Yep Croc here on the Rift. Now, I do feel like CL teams have figured out the top side of the draft. You know, it's kind of stale, to be honest. Like the meta, I feel like teams are like, okay, we get 13, 14, this is the way it goes. The bottom side of the draft sometimes throws me for a loop.
I feel like, yeah, especially with what DRX has right now, maybe you just ban Rel here as Hanwha Life, because that seems like a pretty easy pick for DRX to just grab that as a support, and then you have counter pick for Duckdom, as Rel is going to work with this draft really well no matter what. That's what I'd like to see ban here from Hanwha Life. And then if they ban that, then DRX have a bit of a tougher choice in terms of what they want to do to set up this Jax for success. Civ are going to be banned, so 4 80 carry bans in the second phase, 6 total, and they're just going to take Duckdom's Aphelios, so thank you very much. And then the counter pick will be the outranging Jinx. Let's see if they decide to go with Rel here, or if they want to give Jinx some engage setup. I'd rather honestly see like a Leona or a Nautilus here for Hanwha's comp, just more opportunities to get her set up. But nope, it's going to be Smearl, Valdez. Smearl!
But Alistair is available.
True. Ziggs?
Ooh,
okay.
Ziggs, okay.
Full poke index.
Yeah, and it's really good into the Aphelios lane. I actually really like that. And Hanwha Life Esports taking a little chance here. This is definitely not standard. And only certain 80 carries are confident to even do it. They pick up the Nautilus as well, a bit of anti-dive, a nice amount of engage as well. I think it's a good way to round out the draft.
Yeah, no, the teleport Ziggs with Nautilus is kind of undiveable. Well, I want to do the Rel instead, which is fine. They just don't want to give that over to DRX. So now DRX will probably actually just take the Nautilus or Leona here.
Alistair.
Rakana's still up. I just like looked through the bans. I'm like, wait a second, that guy slipped into the draft and slipped out of the bans, and then therefore into that final spot in this draft. So that's what they'll take instead. I think what DRX has is more well-rounded and overall better in 5v5 team fights if they can get into position against this Maokai. But Maokai is just so strong. He's so oppressive, and I have to trust that Roamer is going to get it done on the Jason. He's going to land that poke. The laning phase, he shouldn't be able to have too many huge advantages into Azir, but you know, they will have a decent amount of prio after those early levels. I feel like if nameplates are on, I really feel good about this for Hanwha Life. But if they're off, you know, I feel like DRX's comp is just more standard and has a little bit more of an edge in that it's multifaceted. It's got great engage, it's got setup damage, it's got long range engage.
Yeah, it's got side lane pressure. It has 3. Oh, we talk about this all the time, but this is basically just the meta. The 3. I can't think of the name.
Triple
right now.
threat?
The triple threat. There it is. The 3 threats on the Rift for both teams. But yeah, this is. You know, Hololive Esports definitely takes a little bit more finesse with their composition, I'd say. You know, to keep Jason Ziggs safe, it can be easy with the Maokai, but, you know, one false maneuver, one wrong turn, and all of a sudden, it's Challengers, baby.
It's Challengers, baby, indeed. I think the early game is going to be really pivotal for Hololive. If they can get these poke champions ahead, it just becomes so oppressive, and then you never get to have that threat of a flanking Jax. You can't ever set up on an objective.
Well, guys, seems like it is time to hop onto the Rift for game number 1. Let's see if the Ziggs works out or if it does not, and what do-do-dos we will do this time.
They robbed us, Valdez. They robbed us because they played it early. They played it early.
They played it so early.
I was ready for it.
I didn't even know.
But I didn't want to interrupt any potential fan chants, so I waited, and then it just came through.
But it happened like right after the Baron pit shot.
Yeah, they played it early. But you guys got to hear it in its original form, so that's pretty cool.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely not our fault, haha.
Hey, I intentionally I was like, let's hold, just in case fans.
Any Storm Gatherers?
Yeah,
on the
actually
Rift?
2.
I think
3.
I think the way that Challengers games are going nowadays, where they almost always go to 30-40 minutes, it's a good shout, especially for Jason Ziggs, who can use that extra power as the game goes along.
Yeah, I just don't think you really, like, if you look at the lanes they're playing in, you don't really get that much out of Scorch with the Ziggs here. Like, in the Jace, just wants to have that damage for consistent poke later. I've been playing a lot of Jace recently just to get a feel, get a feel for the damage output, because I'm nowhere near the caliber of these players, but when you look at the damage numbers afterwards, even when you think you had a bad game of Jace, you're like, whoa, I'm doing a ton. But every time you hit that poke, it's like you win the team fight instantly, just based on hitting an Aphelios, for example, with that massive damage in the late game, and then it's just done. Like, if Aphelios can't fight, he has to back, and then that's your objective done. So that threat, plus the setup for Maokai, it guarantees he can hit a target he's looking for, and he has vision for it. It's pretty insane.
Yep, it's a very strong combo, and Roamer has been quite good on the pick. He's getting in there. Not quite like Swimwear, but he's definitely getting in there. Speaking of which, now he's getting in there like Swimwear. He's trying to really chip away at Sitev's health bar. Maybe force him to overreact, but not going to happen just yet, as the better sustain will slightly go towards the Jace with the Doran shield.
Yeah. Rooster 10-1 on this pick. He has been so good at it all year as well. This is his stats for this season.
I just want to say 10-1 is not 90%.
It's okay.
I just thought I should point it out.
It's about 88.
No,
isn't it?
It's about 93, 92.7, I think.
Wait. Yeah, no, sorry, I was thinking of it.
Yeah, because 9-1 is 90%, so if you add a win, it should go up. So yeah. It's, mistakes happen, it's fine. He is really good
90.1, yeah.
He is really, really good at Renekton. That's what's important.
Yeah.
And, a lot of teams that win very often, they oftentimes have win rates like this on multiple different champions that are in the meta, including Renekton.
All right, looks like we got the math right this time.
Yeah. Not a math stream. Feels bad. True. Well,
okay.
This is the power of Ziggs in the lane into Aphelios.
Oof. That's
and
gonna hurt.
Now Guwon's here. Very nicely timed for the dive. Not going to force it too hard, but they do push him off the wave and get some extra value, get some extra push into that turret very early on.
Yeah, if Ziggs can hit his passive on that turret, he's going to feel nice. His counterplay here topside.
You saw him the whole way.
Yep. Gets that dash out of there. Very patient. Rooster showcasing his prowess on this champ. The bot situation is not over yet, by the way. Continuing to put that pressure on. As 10 CS down now is Duckdom, and Guwon's going all the way around.
Yeah, this is very forced. Duckdom still has both summoners. Now he's got a lot more health as the cleanse will come in. Duro is going to die as first blood goes to Duckdom, and this dive is a big-time fail. Pleta, all he's got to do is auto Guwon just one more time. He's going to throw in a little emote as well. As here's Roamer. Okay, what are we doing? What are we doing?
Yeah, it's challengers, baby!
That's challengers, baby!
We got the first one!
Yeah, baby!
First
Challengers!
One Woo! Well, Valdez, this game might be donezo. It just might be donezo. I mean, this one was forced was like, I think the accurate word. Like it describes the situation, but I don't know if it really describes the scale of the force, because Duckdom cleanses early here, gets the shield from Pleta, flashes here.
Very nice.
Guwon just takes that extra turret shot and is dead. And just take your advantage. Just hit those passive procs on the turret and take a plate. Like, it's okay. Like, and the Roamer is like, I'm gonna take 2 turret shots to miss an accelerated shock blast.
And then not kill Pleta. He has to flash. It's like Lunana said, we rolled a -50 on a 20-sided die.
Yeah.
Somehow. Well, not we. We had a great amount of fun. The casters and the chat, but unfortunately, Life Esports did.
So Velius now has Berserker's Greaves and an extra longsword here, dagger rather. So he's sitting pretty nice right now with the cull that he's still working on. Duckdom feeling very comfortable here in this lane. Can switch his ammo very quickly with all that attack speed. Look at how quickly he can clear these waves now. Roamer, no flash, so level 6 hit for Satab. They see an opportunity with no follow-up here for Sponge. He doesn't have level 6 himself. They can't make it happen, but very close to a pick there because of that flash situation.
Yeah, Roamer playing it safe. He knows kind of against level 6. Azir, you don't want to get too close, and he gets under the turret in time, so they just don't go for it. We do have Sponge having just immaculate pressure in mid and bot now because of what happened, the incident of challengers at level 4, I think it was, as Sponge is just gonna take the 1v1 instead. I mean, he's like, I don't want the dragon, and yeah, I guess he was worried about a smite steal or something, but no flash here for Guwon. Just gonna play it very safe and get over the wall instead of just taking the dragon.
I mean, they have that level 6 pressure still in mid, and if Sponge is actually pushing Guwon away, they can 100% take the Drake. There's just nothing Roamer can do to assist here. And if he actually takes a bad trade against this Azir, he's pushed out of lane, he has no teleport. So, I mean, these are the consequences of that incident that happened at the bottom lane that they are feeling very sadly right now. Very tragic start to this game here for Hanwha Life. But yeah, really DRX pushing all of their advantages very nicely. And it's a great play from Duckdom as well. Like, we're a little bit down on Hanwha Life's attempt there and how hard they forced it, but at the end of the day, Duckdom outplayed them as a bit of an opportunity.
Yeah, I mean, you know, some summoners down here, okay. Well, he's going to push forward. He sees the tree, and Guwon is just out of there. They just entirely call off the play. They say, no, never mind, and they back out of this one. Meanwhile, Roamer getting pushed out of mid is going to give a free plate to Satab.
Yeah, that's what I was talking about. If he takes a bad trade, he's just out of luck. You know, losing minions now, losing a plate. And he's just trying to pick up some MR here to get some early Merc treads. But I mean, look at what a Jace has here at 8 minutes. Like a longsword, 100 tier stacks, brown bags, and a no magic mantle. Yeah, he's
the team.
He's not feeling very good about his chances of being relevant in the mid game.
Yeah.
Like, a Jace sitting on a longsword, when he hits the accelerated shock blast, like, Satab is like, alright, nice try.
Cool story, bro. Now, we have a little bit of a skirmish here. Maybe not really a skirmish, just some posturing. By the way, there's some people in chat that are like, oh man, this is so over.
Challenges, baby.
Yeah, it's challengers, so you never know. DRX still have an opportunity. The onus is on them, let's say, to potentially win this game or to do the opposite. So let's see what they do with this Rift Herald. Seems like they're in good positioning right now, but Hanwha Life Esports do want to challenge this.
Yeah, Sponge, he's going to have to use his ult very carefully here. Could try to lock down the Renekton. Pleta on the flank here.
Yeah, he's caught. Well, at least they know where he is. As he's getting out of there, the Counter-Strike just to zone, as the ult will go in, and the Maokai ultimate doesn't do much, except the route follow-up is huge, as they do get it, but a big Emperor's Divide, and now Santab and Duckdom full health, just doing a ton of damage as they're all on the run here from the side of Life Esports, as the Ziggs lure wasn't even here, as that is 4 kills to the side of DRX.
Even though the follow-up damage, or rather, even though the follow-up Magnet Storm was fantastic, it doesn't matter if there's no damage. A Jace with 1 longsword and a Ziggs in the early game are not going to offer you the sustained damage in the longer fight. You know who will, though? That Aphelios guy, you know? Even in the early game here is ready to do a lot. So look at Duckdom's positioning here. The Maokai ult does not catch him, so he actually gets to force his way in here with the ultimate. Even with that Magnet Storm coming through, they get the pick. But look at Duckdom just sitting over here, and then bam. So follow-up here is pretty insane. Frog and Sponge going to be able to get on top of these players as they try to get out. And like, Jace can't do anything during that Magnet Storm. Ziggs can't do anything during that Magnet Storm. And then there's just too much AoE circle stuff going on for that Aphelios to follow up for.
And we were just talking about like the itemization. Well, it's not really itemization. You didn't have much choice in your items, but basically the lack of items on the side of Life Esports. So the fact that Life Esports, yeah, they kill Sponge and Pleta, like, that doesn't matter. If Santab and Duckdom, with their huge amount of gold they got early on in the game, are just able to free hit you, as now you're totally, you know, committed to the fight. You're in range of both Duckdom and Santab, and they're just shelling huge damage into you. It doesn't matter that the Magnet Storm looked cool, because you just fed the carries on the side of DRX even more. As it is a bit tragic that Duckdom has 6 assists, but you can't win. Can't win everywhere, I guess.
Yeah, no, I mean, he's still happy with how the fight went. Crown's picked up here. The Jax is moving towards that Sunderer. And the real story here, I think, is just not the gold necessarily, but how decisively DRX have won these fights. And I think it says a lot about Life Esports' kind of motto for being behind. And their school of thought is like, we're going to hard force no matter what. We're not going to be a passive team that just sits back and loses. As speaking of, Rooster's going to drop the Herald over the wall. I thought he was going to look for a dive.
Well, you can't deny that one. Sponge is pretty deep in the enemy territory, but he does have a huge amount of health. I mean, take a look at his items. As now Guwon's going to go over the wall. We do have the Ziggs ultimate. Is going to chunk Pleta just a bit, but they've got the mobility with the Sejuani and the Rakan, and now Guwon's just out of position as Santab comes over with the crown, and the rest of the team on Life are like, well, you're dead, buddy. We can't help you.
Yeah, and you could see in this moment, too, like, the one thing that Jace really doesn't offer you outside of his acceleration gate, you could hard try to argue that, is the utility that a lot of other mids have. And so when he's away like that, he can make no impact, whereas Azir from a million miles away could actually commit an Emperor's Divide if Life Esports try to hard force. And yeah, Ziggs does some poke damage, and obviously the Leandries is going to take a little bit, but there's just no way he can help carry that fight, as they're going to teleport now for the contest.
I don't know about this. Lure is so out of position as Duckdom is just shelling into him. We do have a chance to get Pleta low, but it's only Pleta. Duckdom flash is perfect position, and this is exactly the kind of game that Duckdom wants to play. I mean, they're just giving him kill after kill. He's 3-0-6 now, picks up a double, and they got the Drake. It's Chemtech Soul, but I think DRX will be happy with the amount of gold they have anyway.
Oh, absolutely. Hanwha, they're just going to send it. That is what they're going to do. They're sending it. They're like, it's
all right, I'll send it.
It's all right, I'll send it. I've already got the address, you know, set up. I've put it in the package. I'm going to just dump it right into the postal bin. Because this is just a really hard force and a teleport commit here to this fight. And it's just straight into the meat grinder. Like, it wasn't even close. And remember, Lure had already used his ultimate, did a little bit of burn damage, but it's not the kind of fight you're looking for, as Jace was an item down. He's probably, you know, sitting on close to enough gold to get the next component of this.
He has one Dirk. There's Crown finish, there's Radiant, Virtue, and Bomby Cinder finish for Sponge. Duckdom and Stormrazor, I don't know if you mentioned that, Wolf.
No, I didn't. I noticed he was doing it earlier, I didn't mention it, yeah.
I guess that's just kind of win more angle,
yeah.
And he is certainly going to do exactly that.
I mean, when you're just running at them, trying to get a little bit faster to actually layer that damage in, and you're not worried about the CC, you're not worried about the poke anymore because it's really non-existent, They'll need Gale Force. It's been nerfed a lot anyways. They'll need that first in this comp. Do more damage. And get into position to do more damage really is the bigger thing. Because could have obviously gone Kraken Slayer for technically more damage, but
I just feel like Gale Force is so much amazing utility, which is why we just see it all the time, even with all the nerfs. But it's interesting to see him take the same.
I think he just really knows he's ahead. Sponge not going to commit the ultimate here. They're just trying to take turrets off the map now. The second Rift Herald fight, I just think is not winnable in any way for Hanwha Life Esports, but I have a feeling they're going to hard contest it anyways, Valdez. Yeah. And that might be like the beginning of the end of the game where the Herald gets 2 charges. We're talking about inhibitor turrets sub 20. Could be a problem.
Yeah, it's definitely a problem. And yeah, Hanwha Life Esports made their game plan very clear from the get-go. They're going to dive with a Ziggs, and that's the way it's going to go. I mean, the setup and the push that you have with the Ziggs, it makes sense, but the execution wasn't there, and then they never let off the gas pedal after that. They're like, well, we're behind. I guess we got to force it again, and it has not been working. So we've seen this a lot in Challengers. We even saw it in LCK, where like Game 1 goes heavily in favor of one team, and then the other team that lost just comes back for Game 2, and it's not quite as clean for the team that won Game 1. So
this game is not about like individual strategies that players are making. It's not about macro. It's not about who's the better team, frankly. It's like this game is literally about Hanwha diving in, making an overextension, and then trying it again, then trying it again, and then like Hanwha not really tested here, I think, or showcasing any of their ability to play League of Legends in a classical game. Like this is not going to be that type of game, so I absolutely don't think if you're a DRX fan, you should go, oh yes, 3-0 incoming. This is such a dominant game.
Well, there will be some people that say that, but
I just don't think that's the takeaway for me after this first game is that Hanwha's just going to get gigabopped because this one was so one-sided and they way overextended. I think they'll definitely bounce back in Game 2. But we are pretty much calling this one over at this point.
Well, he's going to give it a go. The crown is down, and Rooster, a little bit of a juke and jive there onto Satab, who thought he had him, but he was the one who got instead.
That was some clean play there on the Renekton. That was, he made him look silly. It's like, oh, you're going to Emperor's Divide me away? You think that's going to be good enough? I don't think so.
Hojin can still be right.
Hojin can still be right. It could be.
He did predict 3-0 for Hanwha Life Esports. That did happen.
So Rooster takes a ton of damage here. Satab is tanking this turret and then for some reason dashes in and then panics. Emperor's Divides, but the stun goes off before the push away, so it doesn't matter, and he dies. Took way too much damage there. Got a little bit greedy.
Yeah. I think he was just like, there's no way you can hurt me. I'm so far ahead, I have crown. Like, what are you even doing? And then he realized, he's like, oh, I don't play against Renekton too often, so this is what this champ does. And why it's picked in like almost every game. So, bit of a mistaker from Satab, but it is okay. DRX still in the driver's seat.
If Rooster doesn't perfectly get that stun the way he did, like, he will definitely survive and probably get the kill, but you know, didn't even pop ultimate yet. You know, you got to be respectful of that, and the fact that the stun can you know, hold you down there and prevent you from getting away. He also committed his dash early, so didn't really have an escape there. Just really a lack of respect, and Rooster just broke his ankles. But he's still very relevant in this game. Like, they have a quick recovery time because he's going to go straight back into mid here, and is very close to getting his Gnasher's Tooth online.
They're sending Guon and Duro, like, always over to try to pressure in the side lane against a Jax with Flash, 2-0 and 1, Divine Sunder. Counter-Strike, he's not easily diveable. Also the fact that it is very just obvious what they're doing, right? Pled is able to go over here and support him just in case, so doesn't look like Frog is ever going to be in any danger.
Yeah, the lane assignments leave me head scratching a little bit, especially when you consider that like Duckdom has been left bottom lane at 18.5 minutes by himself against a Renekton. Like, that seems like a better plan to me. Like, Gale Forceless, well, now he has Gale Force, but until now, Gale Forceless Aphelios seems like probably a better target. But yeah, the Jax is left alone. But that's because he's Jax, not because he's, I think he's just going to be like, oh yeah, I'm outplaying him, I'm just so much better. And they're like, he's so confident he could be left alone. No, it's intentional. This turret is likely to go down with this wave. Not anymore.
Not with the Ziggs on the team. And there was a comment, not a fan of Crown into Ziggs Jace. It gets popped very easily. That it does, but it does deny a lot of the initial poke, and it allows you a lot more staying power. And we've seen a lot more players do this, especially from ahead, because it's like, well, now I have power, like I can do damage, but also you're not going to get me out of here with just like one poke.
Yeah,
right?
actually, you know, the meme about Atlas talking about how much value you get with Flash on cooldown, like, he used it on every time. Like, Crown is actually kind of legit like that. Like, if it's constantly on cooldown, it actually means that it's done a lot of work into poke composition, so it's very rare that someone will get a Crown proc in a comp like this where it's like, oh, he barely touched his Crown and now it's gone. It's like, no, he actually absorbed the Ziggs Q or the Jace poke like this. Like, insane value.
Yeah, and it's more about like when we get into 5v5s, like it can be poked out relatively easily, but especially as Ziggs gets like 2, 3, 4 items, even one Ziggs Q, or let's say like an ult over the top, you're gonna deny so much damage with just that. And I feel like they have enough damage because they have an Omega fed Aphelios and they're so far ahead as well that you don't necessarily need it. So it's always interesting to talk about Crown. I could definitely see arguments as to why you shouldn't build Crown into this.
What would you build actually instead though? Like, I feel like Luden's is the only other option.
Yeah, to try to burst down, you know, like, because you're going to be going in, or at least trying to burst away and match the poke. I mean, I guess Leandri's is okay, because, you know, Maokai and even Rel, but also Renekton builds a lot of health, but I think the burst is better for the Jace Ziggs, who is the bulk of the damage.
I think like there's often a solo queue mentality as well for these types of items. Where, like, how much of an impact can I make? Like, could I do more damage? And like, is Crown getting proc all the time? Yeah, but like, he's not here to just do boom boom. He's got a Fed Aphelios, you know, he's got a Jax to help set up engages. So, like, if I were playing solo queue, like, I go to Luden's every time because I'm like, well, I can't use the Crown very well with the team that's not in comms with me, but when it's a pro team in a best of 5, every single shock blast you absorb buys your team a few more seconds to help get set up on that objective and look for the engage.
I like it specifically from ahead. Like, if it were a more even game, or if you were behind, I feel like you do need that extra oomph, you need that damage, and you need to take a risk and not build a more defensive item, but the fact that they're so far ahead, I think it was okay to go for it. But it is what it is. He has built the items. The item.
A lot of ages would be interesting. I don't know about that.
Yeah, you know, he can hit his level 16 spike earlier.
Yeah. I mean, it's like, honestly though, like, given the conversation we're having, like, is Luden's the only other option here? I think probably Rod is like the closest one. Like, I don't think you go Leandri's here into this comp at all, ever, in any situation. So
yeah, it's pretty meh.
I don't think you go Everfrost this year either, you know?
Yeah.
He is going to go Shadow Flame third,
what do you think about Azir building Heart of Gold in this spot?
I think he's just already got one. I think he's just a really kind-spirited Shuriman.
You mean Azir?
I
don't think so. He doesn't seem like a very nice guy.
No,
actually.
yeah, Azir, I don't know. I feel like he's pretty chill.
Is he?
I feel like he's quite kind.
Maybe Renekton is the evil side of that?
No, Renekton's just misunderstood like Zubat.
What?
Yeah.
Zubat?
Yeah.
I like this. They say, well, we're so far ahead. If you even try to challenge for an objective, they have that one ward that's really going to help them out and spot them going back into this brush. But yeah, DRX, very nice position. They've got Frog on the right side. And
right on the flank. He knows they can't see him. And I mean, the Jace is on 2 items now. This is where he can actually start to hurt. Love that bush check there. Had a ward where he was heading in.
Yeah, fantastic warding from behind, actually, from HLE Esports. The one in the river, as now they're going to engage, going to get in here onto the front line. As the Dominus is there, a massive flank comes in from the Jax, but the damage is not put over as the Divide does come in. But can they even do it? It's going to be up to Duckdom as in goes safe tap into 4 people, immediately dies as Duckdom flashes in. And he does not have cleanse anymore, and the positioning from Lure was absolutely fantastic this entire fight. HLE Esports, they take that forced one and they win it.
There you go. It's challengers, baby. You just never know. You just never know. And this was just a really hard forced engage with the Rakan here from DRX onto the Jace.
Forced.
And you had the setup for it, but the Rakan took so much damage actually before the fight even started from that shock blast. You also just don't have a ton of control of mid lane here, and HLE Esports are very aware of your plans, so they can actually react in turn with this Rel talked about how good the turn with Rel can be, and when Ziggs is actually positioned this well, ends up working out very nicely. So they're going to turn this into Chemtech Soul. Chemtech Soul for Baron, I mean, you're committing a teleport for that. I feel like Hanwha Life Esports are definitely happy to let this one go, let's just say. Like, cool Elder Spawner for this upcoming fight where we have a lot of good tools to actually contest. DRX still in a pretty good position here, but this was very weird. Now, Sponge takes a ton of damage at the beginning of this fight, and then the Rakan's flanking. We have to make something work with this. Let's go on to the Renekton here. And then Roamer gets caught here, but look at the ultimate here coming out from Guan. He hits everybody, then Rel comes back through and Lure just layers the damage in. And Duckdown, by the way, his positioning mega good. Like, he's always at full health. No one can ever touch him. He flashes forward because he knows, I have to carry this fight. I have to get this first kill and then maybe slow down the advance of this tree. And he almost outplays it and gets another kill there. Duckdown played that so well, but I think there was just no reason to force onto a Renekton there in that fight.
Also, Setab, he got hit by the Maokai ultimate. He divided only Duro, and then he went in and immediately died. So you're just losing all of that lead that you had on the Azir. It's like the Azir doesn't exist if he's just going to go in and basically not do any significant damage. Whereas Duckdown was trying to hard carry it, wasn't able to. Lure safe the entire time because they forced everything onto a Renekton that's actually very fed, and the Maokai and the huge front line that Hanwha Life Esports had. So yeah, Hanwha Life Esports are back in the game. They have the Baron. And let's see what happens from here, Wolf, because I have absolutely no idea.
Well, the truth is, Ziggs can kill turrets very quickly. There's a lot of standing gold on the map. Hanwha Life Esports grabbing that last outer there on the bottom lane with his satchel charge. He's about to have death cap. And with map control here for this Elder fight, they can maintain that for 4.5 minutes here. With Baron buff, they should be able to. I mean, it's not going to last, obviously, until the Elder spawns, but it should give them a pretty decent amount of control. Look at the ward control they already have bottom side here. It looks pretty good for them. That being said, they have to deal with this Aphelios. They have to deal with this Jack side lane pressure. Those are two things that are a big problem here for Hanwha Life Esports. But Jace got to 2 items. Yeah, he's still significantly behind, but he's still relevant, I think, with the amount of poke he can do with the lethality, the Duskblade. It's taking me forever to remember that item name. And then Muramana.
Lethality dagger.
Yeah. And he's also got another Dirk. Like, he's ready to go to Edge of Night and continue to do that damage. If he gets a reset in a fight, becomes untargetable. Very difficult for Aphelios to play around that. And then there's another threat to get on top of this guy. So I think it's viable for Hanwha to win this game.
Yeah. Take a look at the build from Lure. He just picked up a death cap, and it's the perfect Ziggs build. You don't need the Seraph's Embrace, as we always talk about. You're going to have enough mana. You're going to have the ability to chunk people out with your mana bar. And he just spends everything into just pure damage. And he has enough of a front line. He has a Maokai, which is so good with Jace, but it's even better with Ziggs. So in terms of, you know, we talked about this was going to need some finesse, but I've been convinced that Lure can play the Ziggs very well. He's building it perfectly. And I think they definitely have the ability to win this one through the Ziggs especially.
Yeah, I agree. I think that DRX really need to have great communication in this next fight because, you know, what we talked about in the draft, I was like, with nameplates on, I think HLE could do this. They didn't do anything well in the early game, but then they're proving that, like, my kind of initial theory about them and how this comp plays out, like, I trusted they could do it, and they've proven me correct here. Even if they don't win this game, the fact that they've been able to come back and have 2 great turns in those last fights to bring themselves back into this is, for me, belief enough that like, this is going to be a pretty competitive series for them. And going back to what I was saying about things after the game that looked done is like, don't count Hanwha out because it's challengers. This team is really good. And they're showing us a different side. We don't often see big bounce backs from teams like this in a series like this. You know, obviously it happened with D+ in the series against Hanwha Life. Maybe they learned something from that.
Yeah. Maybe they came into today feeling kind of robbed, I would say. You know, they're like, oh, we were in such control, we should have had this. We're a really good team, and we shouldn't take that for granted, right? So let's really bring our A game here. And after getting behind, they went in there. Yeah, the Prowler's Claw is pretty interesting.
Really trying to index into that lethality, get on top of the Aphelios here, and blow him up is the idea. And I think that's fine. That's definitely expected a more common Edge of Night here.
Definitely. But yeah, not going to be the way.
It's not that great into their combo Edge of Night, I guess.
I mean, it can eat like Sejuani ults, and maybe a bit of poke from the Duck Dom. The Duck Dom.
Yeah.
The one and only of his name.
Is that the real Duck Dom? I thought he was in LCK.
Yeah, he got copied, and one of him went down to Challenger League. He has picked up a Hex Drinker now. And
Void Staff on the way for Lure. A Imperial Mandate for Guan as well is going to be some additional damage for this Jace.
Very damage focused, very much trying to enable the insane amount of damage that Lure has. And I'm very much looking forward to the slow-mos of the future fights where, you know, Maokai presses R and then Ziggs presses R. I want to see those numbers in slow-mo.
What if Rel also presses R? Okay, Pleta, we've used this playbook once before. We got to be careful now. Look at the positioning here. Duro knows there's a pretty good chance he's flanking, and now it's really difficult for him to actually find the angle he wants. So they're all sitting in the Baron pit. This is fantastic for HLE potentially.
Well, Maokai ultimate does pull through, but the damage not there for HLE. Just going to ult on to the Baron, and it's Azir who gets it, and it's an all-out scrum now as DRX. This time around, they get the damage into that front line. And the damage here from the side of HLE is just not layered in as they use it to try to steal the Baron, and they get out of position. DRX able to punish that immediately.
Yeah, I thought they had a really nice position to actually just wipe them there in the pit, Baron or no. Use that Ziggs bomb and the Jace poke onto all those members as they're caught with the Nature's Grasp, and just let Duro hold, you know, the enemy flanking Rakan. Like, keep Pleta away. And now the Elder is started up here. 2 down for Hanwha Life. No teleport for, well, there's a teleport for Rooster, no for Roamer. But he's just going to have to stick this one out, I think.
He's about to get his ult. I mean, there's a chance. You got to be careful about the Ziggs. But, yeah, just zoning them out. They don't have any vision, and that is too late. Yeah, they'll kill the Rakan, but Pleta did his job. That's now DRX with Exodia.
Yeah.
Not much of a flip.
Well, it was looking good, like they could turn this one around until it wasn't, you know? And I always say that's Challengers, baby, but, you know, that's also just a really interesting Baron contest there from HLE that goes poorly. And DRX played it well. You know, if you set up this flanking Rakan, obviously there is an angle where if they over-index into trying to go for the steal, you can turn on them as you see Pleta comes in here on the back line. But they don't actually get the damage here onto the carries. Guan just hard forces his way in here. And even though the Renekton does have GA, you can't compete with Aphelios damage here. Your poke needs to hit basically everybody, or you need to layer way more of it on top of DRX before you go in than that. And they just wanted to go for the steal. A little bit haphazard of an engage. And everyone has sacrificed for it. The GA, of course, going to be on cooldown for a long time now for Rooster.
Yeah. And as the chat is pointing out, the game isn't over because of the Ziggs and the Jace. But it's, especially if DRX handles this well and they just kind of hard force and engage onto that poke. We saw that Hanwha Life Esports, they don't do well engaging themselves, especially in the haphazard manner. But if everybody's coming into them and you've got a Maokai ultimate and it hits a lot of people, you still got to be a little bit careful about how you do this. So you can see the wave clear in position, and the Elder's not going to matter unless DRX actually hit Hanwha Life Esports like the champions and not just the towers. And as for so far, they have
30 seconds on this Baron. They're going to even ult to hold this turret. That means they're not going to have...
is huge.
Yeah, they're not going to have the Maokai ultimate to try to defend this follow-up, though, if there is going to be one. Because I think DRX definitely could be pushing this advantage a little bit harder with Setab on 4 items. Rip through these health bars and keep proccing that Elder.
Definitely going to get 2 inhibitors here. Will DRX? The question is, can they end the game? The Baron buff is gone, which means that the waves are about to not exist, as they will hard force it as Guan is just dead. Okay, they caught someone, as now they're looking for another. Pleta really trying to get Rooster here. Not quite able to extend that one. But again, the waves pretty much non-existent. They do not have their Maokai. Rooster nearly going to die, as seems like they don't need the waves. Duro going to go in there and stop them as the poke is finally hitting into Duckdom, and the wave is in fact coming in from the top side. As now Roamer going extremely hard, gets the Dustblade proc as they're trying to stop them here on the inhibitor. But meanwhile, Frog's just ending the game. So he's like, yeah, cool story. I'm not going to fight you. SaveTab is just going to bait you out there, and I will end the game. DRX going to take game 1.
Definitely a little bit of a closer one than I think it should have been here, but DRX do win it in the end. It almost feels like we can wipe the early game clean from our memory there, because I think it was really just about a few decisions that were made in the late game and some control, obviously, that happened in the Baron pit. Like, setting up for that, we'll definitely give credit to DRX for that one. But very messy here, the way in which Life decided to set up for that defense, because the early Maokai ult made it look like Hanwha thought not only were they going to defend this, but they were actually going to straight up defend mid and Ib. Like, they were like, oh, you're not even getting my mid and Ib. But once the Maokai ult's gone, it gets really easy.
That it does. That it does. You can see the damage pretty huge here for the Azir and the Ziggs, but the effective damage from Duckdom was huge. And it didn't really end up being about the side lane, funnily enough. Like, Frog was doing a good job, but they never really answered him, and he was always there for the team fights that the team was setting up, so not really able to output a lot of damage himself, but that's fine. As, yeah, there you have it. DRX, pretty good showing to start us off. Got a little shaky there in the 24-minute mark.
I really think if the dive isn't committed to for Hanwha Life Esports and they don't try to really force that, like, this game could have been a lot more interesting. It got interesting because of some mistakes from DRX, but we never really got to see what this comp was capable of if it played at an even game state. So if they run it back, like, I'm not going to hate it. I don't think they'll get an opportunity to run this back, to be honest. Like, you got Maokai, you went into the Jace, then you got Ziggs. I don't think that's going to happen a second time, if I'm honest with you, Valdez. But if they do run it back, you know, I'm not going to hate it. As Duckdom will get it, I think he was fed a lot of money early, but his positioning in team fights was amazing. His kill participation almost 90% in an insanely long game. Pretty safe vote. And yeah. I kind of just followed you on that one. I was like, is it the Nazir angle? I don't think so. I think it's the Aphelios angle.
Yeah, Duckdom a lot cleaner. And I think the way he played team fights was just kind of insane. So Duckdom is going to pick it up. Fantastic game from him. And we'll have to wait and see if DRX can continue with this kind of play. I don't think they'll be able to force.
Even though asking about support, I think support is not a bad shout, but I think the way they tried to use his flanks was, like, it wasn't his fault per se, but I didn't like how they were trying to win the game just off of recon flanks when they had a really nice front-to-back win condition instead. But again, that's not because of him. Like, he was doing what he was told, he was flanking, he was able to get away with it.
Well, guys, we're done here for game number 1. We'll be back for game number 2. Hello and welcome back to Challenger League. The world is a simulation, and we are back here for game number 2 as we got some great fan signs, as always. I don't know what that is.
It's a 3-year tradition for DRX Novel and Challengers. Stuck on. And then there was the My Precious Babies dragon holding all of the DRX players. So some DRX fans happy about being in the arena. And I was going to say, like, happy about the win, but, like, they probably made those signs before the win. I don't think that's really related, but yeah, we're back. Welcome to Challengers if you're just tuning in. Very close, although not really, but ended up being a close first game. And see what happens, as I expect Hanwha will pick blue side, so we'll probably have the same sides going into this one.
Yeah, would expect that. You know, maybe you want to mix it up, but maybe not this early on. Maybe you pick blue side, and if you lose again, then you go red side. Because, you know, I think the blue side draft, as you were saying at the end of the first game, it was fine. It was just, you know, maybe you ban Aphelios because it's stuck down.
Yeah, I mean, we like the draft. Like, we were saying, like, this is a good draft. And I still think it was, but I think you can play it again. Well, if they give you the picks, because they'll probably ban the Ziggs this time. You might not get Maokai again. We did get confirmation they picked blue side, so that is confirmed, unsurprising. So we'll see what's going to go down when we move into this one. My hair, they did some experimentation today. Let's just say it looks a little bit unusual, but I like look at myself on the camera. I'm like, what's going on over there, Wolf? What happened? But
you're fine. It's all good. You got that haircut. You're ready to go for finals.
That's right.
For the LCK.
Let's die together if we lose.
That's pretty cruel. Yeah, no, Australia is not part of this. It doesn't exist. It's a common misconception.
Don't even get me started on New Zealand.
Yeah, no, that's, I mean, Australia doesn't exist. Does New Zealand exist? Absolutely not. She's going to Daejeon tomorrow morning.
We're going to Daejeon tonight.
She didn't hack anything. Please give the 3-0 to go home as fast as possible. Yeah. Duck Dom Aphelios. Duckpel.
Well, that's what I think of first when I see the term, when I see the combination Duckpel. I just think it's time for Duck Dom Aphelios.
Yep.
And
good
you know what?
Duckpel.
He did not die in that dive. He kind of popped off. Then he had amazing team fight positioning. Despite some of his team's errors in, like, they were like, we're going in. He's like, I'll just be perfectly placed no matter what.
Wolf, I want to ask you, you know him very well. Have you ever seen Atlas and Australia in the same room?
No, I haven't actually.
Well, I think that's all the proof we need. Let's get into the draft here for game number 2. We do have same bands so far, from what I can tell.
Yep. See if that does remain the same here. We'll find out in just a moment. It was the 80 carries that were the final bans, the Xayah, and then the Kai'Sa. If you don't ban Xayah, okay, they'll ban Maokai, so we're going to see a completely different draft. Now they will likely keep both 80 carries open, because otherwise Hanwha Life will... Okay, they're just going to give the Xayah. Xayah weaker when it's not into Kai'Sa, it feels like, but still feels like a very top-tier pick right now, and I would not be surprised if Lure just tells his teammates to give it to him right now.
Yeah. Did the casters used to play Pro League? Yeah, we used to cast it as well.
Yeah. I didn't play it, I just cast it.
Yeah. We cast Pro League for StarCraft 2 for many years.
2014, baby.
Team Salmon, represent.
That's right.
So Jax's first pick. So Sejuani not picked. We don't have the Xayah picked either. Kind of interesting to go for that Jax.
That is interesting considering how low impact top lane was the last game, honestly. I mean, Jax did a great job of denying side lane pressure, but they get to go Sejuani Renekton, and they probably will. You could also consider the Yone if the Azir is picked up, but I don't think you want to grab it here.
Yeah, pick a third after Roamer inevitably picks it up. We only have a certain amount of champions in the current meta.
You can also grab Azir here. Okay, it's going to be Rakan. They really want to play around Paletta's flanks. Yundo was talking about a Rakan POG both potentially. That wasn't really where my heart was at, but he played very well in that last game in a lot of those flanks. The Vi is left open again. Is being considered here. Maybe we go Vi Ahri. But it does feel pretty awkward doing that blind here. But it will remove the Sejuani synergy. So if you go Vi Ahri here and they go, oh, we took Lissandra, then you're not going to get the Renekton. So
yeah,
it does feel like it's viable to go for this right now for Roman.
Viable. Yeah. I see what you did there.
But instead, no, just going to take Xayah.
Xayah's good. I mean, you're looking at a couple of champs that have hard engage. We saw an incredible amount of AD carries banned in the second phase of Game 1 because nobody picked AD carry, so they say, hey, let's get a top tier and really put the pressure on DRX to, you know, there's a lot of different things you can go for, as you were highlighting.
Yeah, I think you probably just go Renekton or Azir here as DRX. I don't think you need to reinvent the wheel. Unless you want to go Annie, I think that would be the one pick also that does feel quite good here. Just going to get Duck Dom's Aphelios, though, instead. So we talked about how that might be a change-up going into the second ban phase. They're going to pick it earlier. But now DRX should lose the Renekton. I think Ahri will also be taken away here by DRX. Unless they think they're just going to get, oh, okay, you're going for Ahri, we'll get Lissandra, and they feel confident they're going to get that. There's the Renekton.
Yeah, would be funny if How Life Esports banned Lissandra. It's very face-up. There's still a lot of stuff available, and they're just going to ban the Ahri. So DRX are like, yeah, whatever. You're not playing that. And yeah, still a lot of good stuff left open in the mid lane. We were talking about the Yone, which could be good for DRX. The Azir still wide open as answers to the Jacks are being taken away one by one.
Yeah. Not a whole lot of great permafrost synergy outside of that Yone. It doesn't necessarily mean they have to follow up on it. We see this a lot in Aphelios drafts with the Sejuani where they're just like, permafrost, not really interested, don't really care. And then you confront to back. They can opt into the Yone now once they see an Azir, for example, which I think is very likely what Romer's going to play. Yeah. But they don't have to actually go down that risky path. But if you lose the Azir here, the champion pool has been thinned out quite significantly. You don't want to play Jace. Tristana's off the table. LeBlanc is gone. Taliyah. Okay.
Taliyah blind as well. I mean, it's basically saying we expect you're going to take Azir, so we're just going to take this early. And Taliyah's very good with lockdown, like Vi. It's not Ahri, because you don't quite have the same amount of mobility, but it's still pretty good, but I'm not sure how it does into Yone. I would expect probably not that well.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to do very well. And with a lack of tank here for Hanwha, I feel like it's actually okay to still go Yone here if Setab is confident in locking it in. The Azir is actually a matchup that Taliyah has looked much better in recently, especially in the early game. And the fact that the Taliyah can just go the Andres against this Cassante is, I think, a huge reason why she was picked up here. And you already have Vi for engage, you have Xayah follow-up, you have Rel follow-up, so you didn't need the Azir in your draft as Hanwha. And the extra global threat of this Taliyah is so frustrating to play against. Very strong into Cassante, very strong into an Aphelios lane. Once again, I feel like if played perfectly, and we look at the nameplates on here, I like the draft of Hanwha more than I do the draft of DRX.
You said that in Game 1.
I know. I know. And then they almost came back because the draft was really good. But
Wolf, if you like one draft better than the other one, that team has to win, right?
No.
Oh. So the internet's
It's just
wrong.
what I favor. It's just what I favor. And I favor them here. They have Vi Taliyah, that's IRL, Jax for side lane pressure. The Cassante is never going to be a threat in the side. Yeah. The Azir might be. There's not a lot of great follow-up besides Rakan for the Sejuani ult. So we've seen Owner and Karya pull it off. Can Sponge and Plata? We'll find out.
Hello, Jolie. I'm sad we don't have 7TV emotes, so we can't just spam Joel, you know, the spinning fish, when Jolie enters the chat, but that's okay. Maybe next year. Maybe next year we can figure that out. Is it pronounced Taliyah or is it pronounced Taliyah? I'm going to say Taliyah.
Same.
Yeah.
All right, let's not miss our strum. All
Yeah,
right.
even if it's early, we got to be on the ball.
Yeah, no, I'm ready. I mean, I'm
right, Valdez.
sorry, fans, but I'm doing what I need to do.
Mm-hmm.
It looks like it's pretty normally timed this time, though. Looks like it's gonna
So
be.
far. I'm like nervous. Okay, game 2. Do.
That's not the right way, Valdez.
Hey man, if you were listening yesterday, we had some really weird ones, okay? So I just wanted to do kind of what we saw, what we heard yesterday. We had some
You're
really
such a
strange
trend
ones.
follower, aren't you?
I am, yeah. It was a good trend. I'm like, hell yeah, that's good. It's a good way to mix it up.
Valdez is always
Do we
trying
have to do
catch the new
every
popular
single time?
meme every time.
Mm-hmm.
That's why he knows about the duck emotes in the chat.
I go to
stuff like that.
memes.com every day, and I check up on the new memes. I got to do my studying, you know.
Back in my day, we went to urbandictionary.com.
Memes.com. I got to interact with the Zoomers all day long. You know, I got to be ready for that. For real, no cap.
Just gonna go my classical doo-doo-doos myself.
Sure. On God. So Talia is really good. I think in this meta it has a lot of power, just in general. Like, it's really good against a lot of the meta champs, and it's very safe. It has a lot of global presence. I do think it's a lot harder than your average mid lane champ, so I think that's why we don't see it a lot. Because you make one false maneuver, you're extremely squishy, you miss your seismic shove, you might just die. So we'll see how Roamer does. I have faith in Roamer.
It's also kind of an older mid pick that was popular, half a decade ago, and has kind of recently resurged back into relevance, but it has never been really an S tier pick in mid. I feel like it was for like a month, and then it got a little bit nerfed, and then people just moved away from it. Especially when Ari came back into the meta, that was like around the time where people were like, Talia's a little bit more niche. And D+ were like, yeah, we're flexing it, but it's really BDD who brought it back here in 2023. And it's, again, kind of niche, only against Azir. We're seeing it. They expected the Azir pick and not the Yone, which ended up coming true here. Felt like the Yone is pretty good into Talia. Feels like counterintuitive because but there's rocks on the ground and he's dashing at him, but actually really strong because of his stats and his general damage.
You can also just run at them. You're very fast when you unbound soul, and that's oftentimes what Yone does anyway, after potentially setting up with an initial dash. But anyway, he's not in this game, as we do have a big invade, which was spotted very early on. You see that Duck Dom has not moved out of the lane. Guwon's just going to stand here, and he's going to say, well, I will win the 1v1, and if my bottom lane has pressure, I will also pressure you. As here he goes. I thought he was going to go, but a little bit late on that one. Now he's just watching Sponge.
He's just watching him. Also check his smite timings. He's gathering data. He's like, how good is Sponge at Gromp smite? Let's take a look. And now his teammates are coming over, and Blood at level 2 needs to be linked up with Duck Dom. And just a blue buff game here, you know?
Yeah, Satan's going in there. We do have the seismic shove just flashed as, again, what did I just say? Sometimes you miss that and you just die. First blood, Satab gonna pick it up. Very nice understanding of the matchup and is able to pick up the solo kill.
Yeah, Roamer really trying to push the advantage he had way too hard there and walking into way too many Sand Soldier pokes, as Sponge here does not have his teammates' support, so a bit aggressive of him to try to challenge this Vi, especially with Scuttle Vision.
Yeah.
Or Scuttle Speed.
And Vision.
And Vision.
But also had his own Vision.
Yeah. I don't know about that one, Sponge, but he is going to get away with it. And we'll watch this again. Roamer low on mana. Walks back into a Sand Soldier shot here.
Yeah, this position,
and then
not it.
You just, Satab can outplay you on that. Thought you were going to get the shove, and even if you do, Sand Soldier's over the wall. Like, it was just really elementary for Satab, and he's just like, oh, this guy thinks he can play games with me, and I'm not going to have it.
Yeah, it was extremely aggressive from Roamer. You can't do that, especially early on, as this time the stun is going to come through, but Satab, okay, he's going to eat a shot, actually, of the turret, but he's still winning. He already has lost Chapter Wolf.
Yeah, I mean,
rough.
he can just use a pot here to heal up I think he had one left, but either way, he has the Lost Chapter. Will he get level 6 and get some mana back, and just is going to be able to, with Teleport Advantage, shove this whole wave in. Looks like he's just going to back instead. And he had Doran's Ring, so I mean, these trades that he's taken are really favoring him in terms of the mana advantage. Doesn't feel like he wants to stick around because he'd rather have full health for that potential gank of Sponge, where he comes over there and they use the Emperor's Divine. And the kill pressure he has with his ultimate, if he's sitting at 2/3 health when Roamer comes back, then a little bit tougher, a little bit riskier into this Vi to try to commit for that. So...
Yeah, and what I mean about the matchup thing is that if you can dodge, if you have kill pressure and you can dodge the seismic shove, then you can get the kill. So Setab's aggressive flash is what I meant by like understanding of the matchup. Talia is not supposed to die. She is not supposed to get that close to the Azir. That is not supposed to happen in this matchup. So
I also just
Chatter, you are correct. Just you know, clarifying my statement from earlier.
Yeah, I just don't think that like even with the shove hitting there at that point, like it was gonna, like I think Setab still kills him probably,
or at least forces flash.
Yeah, at least, yeah. And like if the shove buys enough space there, then yeah, maybe he would flash to try to get the kill. And like either way, the outplay was there, and I think it was hopeful for Roamer at that position. Isn't going to matter too much because Setab didn't greed for sticking around and pushing those advantages, trying to grab a plate or anything like that, but he still has mid-prio to get this early Drake. And they're getting it so quickly here that it's not going to be tradable for a Rift Herald. Sponge has level 5. Crescendum is big.
It's like crescendo in music, where it gets louder and louder.
It gets faster and faster in this case, so it's not, not like a really like a one-to-one, but you know.
Yeah. Well, it feels like this bottom lane, just kind of hanging out, just kind of farming one-on-one. Or I suppose it is actually 2-on-2, but what I meant, it's very even. We don't have any insane dives in the
one
bottom
duo
lane.
against the other duo.
One unit of the team, of the squad. Roamer does not have flash, so he's just going to get pushed in. Now, a very nice counter gank does come in from the side of Guwon, but Roamer is going to be the first one to go down, and the damage is not enough from Guwon, so he's here in position, but he might have to pay for it as another permafrost going to come through, and he gets a little shields here. Will have to flash at the very end. The Sponge will force that one.
That's going to be a plate this time. Setab is happy to take that, and once again, Roamer really pushing the envelope way too far. He wanted to bait this exchange because Guwon was there, but little did they know Sponge was also there, and that's exactly why he was set up in the way he was. His flash is coming back up. Setab's is, of course, Roamer's is also, but his ultimate really not going to be a useful tool in terms of dealing with that pressure in lane, whereas the Azir ult, once that comes back up, he can do it again, force another flash as Sponge avoids this ward.
They saw him!
Yeah, actually, in retrospect here with this vision, they knew. But there's no kind of canceling this unless you walk back instantly, which Roamer did not. So I think he was focusing forward, like tunneled on, like how are we going to make this happen on the Azir, not looking around him.
Okay, well they're going to get the Rift Herald somehow. Guwon will go down in trade for it as Rooster is 1v3, gets all out it. He is super dead. Sponge going to pick up that kill. Not sure if he should have been the one to pick up that, as it was pretty free for anyone. But it's okay, as it is 2 kills to the side of DRX, but at least, I guess, Guwon got the objective.
It's straight up deja vu. I mean, it's not as bad, but very similar to game 1. Force, Rooster gets Herald, you lose the fight. We'll get another look at it and how it all breaks down here in a second, but Frog gets Sponge in the area. You have the numbers advantage, you think, but Jax isn't going to be able to really do a whole lot here. The ultimate is fantastic from Sponge. Like, yeah, he could counter-strike here and get multiple stuns, but there's no follow-up damage. Your bot lane wasn't even here at all. And after game 1, like, the lead that we saw for DRX for you and I were basically saying, all right, well, this one looks like it's done. And chat was like, oh, maybe it's going to be a 3-0. And I was like, no, hold on, chat. Like, Hanwha could bounce back. I'm starting to wonder because they're seeing a lot of those same overextensions here and same over-aggressive tendencies in this second game. And maybe it's just an off day here for Hanwha Life, because this is not, by the way, normal, chat, for how Hanwha plays these types of series. They don't just go, okay, we're sending it no matter what.
Maybe DK actually did break them. As another play goes to Setab, he's totally free here. No pressure at all. He's just able to dash way holes onto his flash. Lure did get the one. And by the way, Rooster was the one who picked up the eye. So he just drops it in and he gets one plate. That's it.
Just like last game on the Renekton. He was the one who picked it up, dropped it over the wall in mid last time. This time he's going to drop it in his own lane. And it's crazy just the lines you can draw between both of these games. Obviously, bottom lane was the overextension last time, but Roamer, a big part of that. And then this time in mid, now trying to clear this vision out so they can sneak a jungler in here. Seems pretty transparent, though, the way that they walked like that. I don't think DRX is going to fall for this.
I wonder.
Roamer's also missing. They're like, not dealing with that Talia early game play.
That's all the bottom lane has to do. Like, if Duck Dom gets a bunch of kills early from like a weird dive, that's great. But they don't need that to win the game. So just play it safe. Just play safe bot, as they would say in solo queue. And in this case, it actually works out, as Setab already has Crown. Again, this game, a much better game to get Crown. You know, we talked a lot about the Crown in Game 1, but this one seems pretty straightforward.
Really high value, yeah. I mean, it's basically going to be, basically going to be always against the Talia burst or against the dive engage, which is going to be insane high value either way. And yeah, Talia could like proc it with her Q, but that shouldn't happen in a realistic scenario.
Yeah,
Zero's
got enough range.
Yeah, exactly. Look at him do it right here in front of our eyes. And like you mentioned, the itemization, the Azir has such a huge lead that Talia's relevance is so far away in terms of real damage in a team fight. And I mean, look at the items that she has. Like, Leandri's is not happening. She's like
no, it's not.
Dark Seal and a Mana Crystal at 12 minutes in the game.
Yeah.
Pretty doomed.
Game 1-esque.
Like, I think it's worse than Game 1. Like, the one longsword was like, okay, well, this is really bad, but at least I'm still Jace.
Base values on your accelerated shock blast, yeah.
This is like, I can't do anything except put a wall and maybe CC a little bit.
So, do we get Chemtech Soul again? That's the one thing I'm worried about here, because I know that Ox is not paying attention. It's Ocean Soul this time, which is fine. And they got 2 very valuable early Drakes to DRX. They have a 3,000 gold lead. Surely it's just a straightforward 2-0, right, Wolf?
Does seem that way, to be honest. Like,
HLE? New B? Hey, B banned.
Huh. Looks like we got a newbie in the chat. First time chatter. Last time chatter, question mark? Yeah, no. I mean, the truth is, though, like, there's always a little shred of truth in every Angry Betters chat, which is that, like, this is not a start to the series that you would expect from Hanwha. There's a very different play style of hyper-aggression early, trying to push their advantage. He's like, I get it, Roamer, arguably the best mid laner in the remaining pool. Like, call me on his best day, I'd give him the edge, but, like, of our remaining teams in playoffs, like, Roamer, individually best player, I think. He wants to push that advantage. He knew the Azir was coming. I picked Talia. Great early game into Azir. He was pushing that advantage, but then overstepped his bounds, just like last game. And, you know, Hanwha Life, for playing like a newer Challengers team, is okay, this could work.
Okay, gonna catch Sponge. Sponge just gonna flash away. Doesn't have that first item yet. Just gonna play it safe. Got caught out.
Yeah, take that flash. You'll take it as Hanwha Life. But yeah, this team is playing like they have less experience than they actually do today, which is quite unusual. As that crown is going to be hyper value here. As I said, we've talked about the combo and also with the items or lack thereof. He's like basically not even hurting him. It's a bit of a tough one. I think the ways back into this game are just really good side laning from Rooster, or maybe some really awesome plays from Roamer once he starts to have some items like with Weaver's Wall cutting the team in half. Like, that's what you have to hope for now.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely an angle. It's not going to be easy. We saw Game 1 was possible to come back from. Game 2, we'll see. Rooster, he did get killed once, but he's still Jax. You know, maybe if the game does edge on long enough, you know, we know that CL teams do have some trouble ending games at times, and DRX weren't exactly... It wasn't easy in Game 1, especially because you were going up against so much wave clear, but in this game, they still have a decent amount of wave clear, but I think it can end a little bit easier. So we'll see how DRX can navigate that as we look to have some posturing around the second Rift Herald.
I think as Hanwha, you really need to fight for this. You lose this and the whole map gets opened up. DRX, as a result, really want to commit. Frog coming over here with teleport, but very late.
All right, 5v5 going to start up as some ults are thrown in. Very nice engage from Pleta, just hitting at that front line. It's all into Duro, though, as Pleta's getting low as well. And Duckdom is being pushed out of the fight as it stands right now. Lure and Roamer going 2v1 onto Setab, who does not have a crown anymore. He's going to go down, as on the other side of the fight, though, DRX will pick up a double kill. 2 of those going over to Frog, who, of course, does the most damage in the game, or in the fight.
Yeah. That was a very, what's the word for this? Like, I'm struggling to find the word for this, but
maybe you could ask an angry
erroneous fight from DRX. Like, they
very challengers.
They pushed super hard into a Rel, who has fantastic turn. They did still ultimately deny the eye and win the team fight, but it made it a lot harder for themselves, I think, than it really needed to be. Also, Setab flashing forward and then getting himself caught. It was just very bizarre. So watch this from Duro as, like, target selection here is all over the place. We caught Rooster, but we're trying to kill the Rel. It does massive damage back. Setab's over here up at the front, wants to actually hard force this, stays on the wrong side of this wall. And then, luckily, Duckdom does insane amounts of damage at this point in time with the Cassante, so he is going to be able to clean up the right side of the fight. But Setab, bit questionable there. Target selection a little bit all over the place.
Yeah, Setab, you know, we saw this in game 1. He gets himself in a good position, but then he's like, I will dominate your entire team. I am going to make the TikTok highlight, okay? And he tries for it, but it's into Xayah, and Roamer just flashes it, so he gets himself totally out of position. Could have been cleaner. DRX still won the fight. They're still in a good spot. And now we got Roamer being pressured. Sponge is very much a damage sponge in both of these games, playing Sejuani twice, getting fed early.
Jack's side lane angle, though. Frog not here. He's in mid. Trying to hard force this bot, or rather mid turret, but it'll be a turret for a turret. Hanwha Life definitely happy with trades like this. And the Jacks got paid, as somebody in chat said, a little bit. So, hey, starting to be kind of relevant. Starting to be a bit of a threat. Still nobody answering for him right now. Might even get some damage done to this turret here on the top side of the map. As Setab will take out this outer. So 2 turrets for 1. But Hanwha Life still at least getting something done here cross map. DRX are going to take soul point for this Ocean Drake. Or with this Ocean Drake.
No objective bounties, which was pointed out by Sajax. I think that's... It's a pretty sizable lead, but it's not over 5,000, and it's still relatively early. I mean, it's past the time where we could have bounties, but I guess the game is like, no, algorithm says no, so no objective bounties for Rooster. Trying to push him even farther forward as Duro. Should be fine.
Generally speaking, for bounties, it usually ends up being 2 different lanes have a significant lead. In my experience, like, nobody really knows the science behind this, but, like...
Even Riot,
yeah,
nobody really knows.
You do wonder.
Just make the algorithm and you put it in and you're like, I don't know how that works. It just works. Trust me.
But, like, I think if Setab and Duckdom were both, like, 1,500 gold ahead, I think the bounties probably would have procced with this kind of gold lead, but... Aphelios picking up 2 assists. Maybe that's the plan all along for DRX. Like, don't let Aphelios get the kills, so then we get to keep the bounties off.
I feel like it's generally, I feel like it pops up if there's like a 5,000 gold diff. And actually, as we say that, objective bounties are about to spawn, which is what that Korean text just said. So
it's at 4,300.
Makes sense. 3 Drakes, you know?
Yeah.
It's about time.
See the advantages here in terms of the objectives. Top left of your screen. As Duckdom?
Duck Dove? Pretty, yeah, he is Duck Dove, but there's only Guan who's diving. So a very broken up fight here from Hanwha Life Esports. Hugely forced once again. They will pay the price for that, as I suppose they can thank their lucky stars that Baron hasn't spawned yet. And they had vision of it.
Yeah, so there's a technique in diving called the duck dive. It's named after how ducks dive into the water, where they just dip their head in and they just instantly, like, you go down quickly and force your way into the water and then kick and go down as deep as you can. That's what they're doing here. And they're gonna find out that, like, maybe they wanted to rise to the surface a little bit quicker, as this was so uncoordinated without really any damage or vision. Avai finding the Aphelios is usually like, okay, we go in on that. if the team is all ready to do the damage. And like Romer with no items at that point, like, and even if he has Leandries, which he might have, I don't think he did. He has Leandries, like he's not going to do enough damage, unfortunately. Like Rakan is there. It's just, this is uncharacteristically weak play from Hanwha Life. I'm going to be honest with you guys. Like this is very, very unusual. Choke point here under DRX's control.
Yeah, let's see how they do pilot this one. The turn is going to be pretty fantastic with the Sejuani, but let's see. They're just going to push away Guan, who just queues away as he gets kind of in range to flash in, but he decides not to as he's just being poked out by Setab. The wallets are pretty huge as the Moonlight Vigil not really going to hit anyone, as Frog is kind of just 1v9ing right now as well. Nobody else really doing too much damage as Hanwha Life Esports are being corralled and escorted very forcefully out of the river, but only one of them will go down.
Sponge top on the damage in this one without a Sunfire. That's how you know POG angle. In all seriousness though, like that was a pretty elementary fight. No flash commitment from Guan, like you mentioned. Just trying to go up there and contest. And this is one of those showcasings too for Setab where it's like you don't actually have to look cool while you do all the damage. Like you look cool to me. It doesn't have to look flashy. All right, just sit back and do that. Layered Nashor's Tooth damage. You've got stopwatch. Or, you know, in this case, yeah, it is a stopwatch. He didn't actually buy Zonia's. Got the stopwatch, so pushes Guan away. Guan doesn't flash in. They don't have anybody on top of this. Duro trying to hope for a magical engage here, doesn't find it. And then Setab's stopwatch timing is perfect. They just completely nullify everything. Frog keeping Lure out of this one. He's super low range. And the whole team is just completely disjointed, but that's because they had to force the way into a choke point and then try to contest Baron. Significantly behind, it's just hard to do.
Yeah, I think the biggest issue is Hanwha Life's early game, right? Like, they have not been playing a strong early game. DRX have been ahead of them by like 5 or 6 steps, it feels like, in almost every facet in the early game. And now they're trying to get on top of a Cassante. We know what happens when you do that, as he is about to get his all-out back up and available. Did not have flash, but yeah, just trying to go for a desperate catch. Very far behind now, over 8,000 gold. DRX just trying to push their way down into the bottom lane. They see Hanwha Life Esports coming a mile away through their own jungle. As now the turn comes in, Guan's just going to go down. He looks pretty uncomfortable on the buy, just keeps getting picked, trying to go for desperate plays, and nothing seems to work out.
Romer, like, his Weaver's wall just made sure he couldn't get away as well, basically, but there was no way out. Even if he flashes the wall there, it was just not clean. Like, this is...
Yeah, I think DK really kind of mental boomed them.
I think
they do not look like the same team.
Yeah, like legit, they look super stressed out, trying to hard force, and like, I don't know if I want to call this a choke for Hanwha Life Esports, but I do feel like this is it's kind of a choke. Like they're just underperforming. They showed up to get some early advantages, and once game 1 went horribly wrong, like they have just constantly trying to take bad fights, and then obviously 10,000 gold down, like nothing is going to look good, but like look at what they're trying to do here. It's not like I'm going to send it like we lose the game or we win the game right here with this type of play. Like it's, yeah, the wall is really not it. But also like the amount of like we're going to force, but then actually not really is a little bit concerning.
Yeah. Well, yeah, they're trying to gank brush the Cassante again. That's kind of how you know where we're at. So everybody's just gonna back. Chat's really struggling today as well. I can't even see that guy's message on my phone. It's just not even there.
It's okay. I don't think he'll be talking.
It's all right.
I don't think he has anything else to say. That's all he had to say.
Yeah, thankfully, it's okay.
Lure, what's he getting?
Yeah, and we've talked a lot about how Hanwha Life Esports aren't really playing to the same level we expected, but DRX, you know, they come back, very solid play. They're not reinventing the wheel. They're not doing anything insane. In fact, they have made many mistakes as well. We've seen, you know, Setab getting very overeager to get in onto some fights, but just as a team, they're playing much cleaner League of Legends, and in Challengers, sometimes that's all you got to do.
Yeah,
you don't have to go insane.
Yeah, bizarrely, like, being passive is actually sometimes the best strategy in a league like this, and They were very punishing as well. Like, I feel like they calculated their defense. Okay, this is a good angle.
Okay, very nice circles being put in. They're going to get ducked on down. He had his flash, did not matter, as the wallets may just be a bit too heavy. They are going to take down Pleta, though, as Frog is underneath the turret and may just be taken down. He finally does get taken out, and even without the Aphelios, I think that the wallets are just a bit too heavy here. Setab able to get on in as flashing in his Sponge, and will take out Roamer. That should be the end of game number 2.
What do you feel in Valdez? Frog, POG, Sponge, POG. Setab, POG?
It's not Setab.
I don't think so. I think it's either Sponge or Frog.
It's either Sponge or Frog.
I kind of feel like it's both votes are viable, but Sponge got the Taliyah behind early. It's the only thing I have left to wonder about at this point in time is, yeah, this ultimate misses, and then Duro's engage here is so good. It's onto an Aphelios. He instantly dies. But then Cassante is big, and then Pleta ends up charming those who did engage upon him. And this is like one of those Frog angles. If you're a Frog voter, you're definitely pointing at this fight. He's had so many of these. Setab just helps clean up the pieces of the team that gets split off the hard engage.
A lot of people in the chat are just like, ends the game. Stop beating the dead horse. And I kind of feel that.
I mean, it's triple inhib, and this is a way, like, they could have tried to end, but it's risky. Dragging this out, this 10,000 gold they've had for like 5 minutes, is just, it's not going to be a positive thing for Hanwha Life Esports. They're not going to be going, oh, this team's bad at ending. Like, we're really, like, maybe there's a chance here. Maybe we can come back, and like, maybe they're not that confident. I think they're going to be wallowing in it, to be totally honest, for the next few moments here. Like, this is not the feel you're looking for. Taliyah, top of the damage in the game with that Leandri she finally put together, but the impact here practically invisible.
Did a lot in the last fight. You know, nobody was really able to get on top of Roamer, so he was just poking him out, doing a lot as the wall's going to come in, just try to stop the wave, I suppose. It stopped about 3 ranged minions from coming in, so a bit desperate as, once again, Guan going to go in and Guan going to go down as the game is just too far out of hand at this point. Even Setab has that stopwatch available, goes invulnerable, and Roamer will be taken out as well. That's 2-0 now to the side of DRX, a very one-sided game number 2. Even more one-sided than game number 1, as they are looking to just run away with the series, Wolf.
Yeah, they really are. I'm not going to say the same things I said about the early game in game 1 about that game 2. Like, this just really looks like Hanwha is not showing up today, and maybe they're showing up too much in a weird way, if that makes sense. Like, in some of these really hard forced fights.
Yeah, the early game is just a really big head scratcher.
I get it, you're playing Taliyah, Vi, and you've got a Rel, you've got a Jack, so if you get any early game advantage with this Vi, it becomes so difficult for DRX to play out, but overextending in lane as Roamer, again, by the way, I still honestly believe, up until this moment, was our strongest mid laner we have left in the pool, and then trying to wait with your jungler with no vision, and then they saw Sponge coming up, and then still try to force. Like, this is just some miscalculation where Hanwha Life, or like, if we don't do this, we lose. It's like, well, no, if you don't do this, you don't get the same big advantage, but sit back, and it's going to take a really good coach and a really strong coaching staff to bring this team into a potential reverse sweep, because they got reverse swept in their last series by D+.
Yeah.
And, I mean, for them to do it now, after losing 5 games in a row like this, you've got to have an amazing coach and, like, an amazing orator who is the most inspirational speaker who has 5 minutes to talk to his team the world has ever seen.
Yeah, it does feel like the world is kind of leaning against them right now, and DRX are just... yes, very oppressive at this point in time. 2-0. I'm very curious to see who does get the POG. I feel like there's a world where Setab gets it. He was really oppressive in a lot of the later fights, just with the massive lead they had. And there was that one iffy one on the second Herald, but other than that, was very strong. He got that lead in the mid lane as well. I didn't vote for him, but I wouldn't be surprised if we get a lot of votes for him on the Korean side. We'll just have to wait and see.
Yeah.
Yep, there it is.
Gets it.
Solo kill 1.
Yeah, I feel like he played very well. The flash play over the seismic shove attempt was pretty cool. I think he probably would have won out in that trade either way, but you know what? Azir did big things. I voted for top. I thought, like, when I thought back to those last few fights, the first time I watched the fight where he got the kills, I was like, well, ducked on Dilla damage, he stole the kills, but then some of those later fights he did too, and when I watched the replay of the fight, I'm like, well, he actually did kind of pop off. I think any of the top half, like, top, mid, jungle, all absolutely great votes here. Yeah. The Rakan working out again, too, for Pleta. Like, this team knows what they want to draft today, and they're just catching the aggression.
They're making a lot less mistakes, a lot fewer. What is the right way to say that? They're not making mistakes, Wolf.
Less errors.
Less errors, fewer errors. Either way, guys, we are done for Game 2. We'll be back for Game 3. Hello and welcome back to Skynet Says, as we are getting ready for game number 3. Homolife Esports struggling, but not out of it just yet. Will they pull off the reverse sweep, or will DRX just run away with 3-0? Find out now.
Romer's Ari will save your life. That's one that said, we'll see. We'll see. He has unfortunately had a bit of a rough start. Couldn't play the Ari because of the priority we did see there in that last game. It decided to go Talia instead. And maybe a different look at this draft. The Vi priority, okay with it, you know. Scared of Alessandra maybe. Pushed it down a different path. Like, all right, we got this for the Azir. It's really not the drafting. It's just the gameplay itself. It's the overextensions. It's the errors, the misplays, and then opting into doubling down when behind to try to get back in, and then taking bad fights. It's like when you're down on gambling, you're like, you know what, I'm putting everything I got left on red, and then you just go in, and then you either get it back,
I have a feeling
or you
some
don't.
of our chatters may have done that for game 2. But,
oh, sad times, chatters.
Yeah, Skynet was working very hard, and there was that one guy. He was in Twitch chat. His message got caught by like Twitch. It wasn't even like Automod or Nightbot. It was like Twitch is like, no, this is not allowed. He went over to YouTube. There he is, right there.
There he is.
Unfortunately, Skynet does not have power there. Like we mentioned, like I said, Homolife Esports lose twice on blue, go to red. see if that works out. I'm not so sure, Wolf. Let's see.
Yeah, I'm not 100% sure myself. We'll definitely see a third in different draft. Like, it's not like they ran the same draft twice. They definitely did not. All right. Duck Dom. Powered up. Chicken pizza? Nah. Duck Dom.
Yeah, it's like a fake survey. Or is it real? Did everybody vote for Duck Dom?
Yeah, it has like 225 million votes. 100% went to Duck Dom? That's crazy.
It's not Korea, it is Duck Dom. And it's pretty understandable why you would be a Duck Dom fan if you're on the side of DRX. He's playing very well.
Some weird notebook flapping there. DRX coach as well. He was really getting, I don't know, getting excited, getting his team pumped up. It's going to have to be what we see from the HLE side of things, though. See a lot of fans here. These signs really look like, I mean, they've just written recently, it says reverse sweep there. Romer, do it for me, is what that said. I'm like, I think everybody in this audience who loves Hanwha Life knows that Romer has been in the most important moments for Hanwha and these critical wins and upsets they even took. So important. And it's him in game 1, bit of a weird Jace moment. Game 2, laning phase, that has been the problem for them. And without him, the team just cannot get it done.
Nocturne just permaban in CL.
They're pumped, Valdez. Like, I don't know what the coaching staff just said to him, but they're not letting the situation get him down.
He went into the locker room. He threw the trash can against the wall. So, is this what you guys? Is this what we did all that preparation for?
I don't know if that's what's going on, but Lure and crew, man, they're having a fun time.
Maybe I'm just projecting from my hockey days. Because that did used to happen. A common strategy.
Jax is banned. Jace is banned, so they're saying we're not taking Maokai. Interestingly, Hanwha Life will say we're not giving you Maokai.
Mauritz Kai.
Sejuani first pick would be down the kind of avenue of how DRX have been drafting thus far. But without Jax here, the pick is weakened severely. Whereas if you give it to Hanwha, they can instantly snap up that Renekton. So kind of awkward the position they put themselves in here, DRX. We'll just grab a first pick Rel for the flex.
Yep, Rel's very strong. Duro was able to play it to an extremely high level. Unfortunately, it didn't matter because the game was pretty far out of control at that point. So they're going to take it away from him whilst also taking it for themselves. It's flexible, it's very strong. It's a good first pick. Poppy is available, though. And so is Azir, so is Xayah. So if you want to kind of play this, you know, arm's length composition, Hanwha Life Esports definitely do have a lot of tools to go for that.
Getting the Poppy here, really quite strong for Hanwha Life. We don't know what it's up against besides the Rel just yet, but does weaken a lot of very strong picks, including the Renekton, which Frog was probably looking to grab here on this next rotation. Actually, they're going to take it themselves and hold the flex and say, nah, that's not what it's about. We're just getting top tiers. Poppy for jungle, Renekton for top. And DRX, a lot of opportunities here in this draft. Like, both Kai'Sa and the Xayah are open for the first time. So, could just see that be the trade-off here.
Chronicler is a big Trundle fan. Sejuani's still available. It's good into Poppy as well, but they're just going to pick Kai'Sa because guess what? Kai'Sa's broken. It was banned in the first couple of games for a reason, and Hanwha Life Esports said, you know what? Nah, we're not going to play that. We'll just play Xayah instead, and they'll have to take it third. Otherwise, that's getting banned.
They will have to take it for sure. And DRX already got Rel Kai'Sa. Now, I don't really like this Cassante, to be honest, with Kai'Sa, unless it's AD Kai'Sa. But let's see, I mean, Romer, eyes on him here. They're going to grab the Aphelios for lure, not going to play the Xayah. Interesting. And
so is this engage Poppy?
It's possible that the Aphelios, like, they were like, oh, you might play Kai'Sa mid? Like, well, let's, you know, we're not going to grab the Xayah just now. Let's grab Aphelios, take away from Ducton, but I really don't see any world in which that's going to be the case. A little bit surprised by this, and like you're saying, it kind of feels like it might need to be. Or, you know, get ahead enough to be very tanky.
So you banned Alistair.
And they have Rel.
Though, yeah, you could have picked it on 4, or at least forced DRX to ban it. You know, like if you were scared about them getting both Rel and Alistair, there are other ways to go for it. And it seems like Duro really doesn't want to play the Alistair, so they just take it away.
Ban Azir as Hanwha Life if you have no interest in putting Roamer on it. Like if they think they're going to play the Talia into it again, I'm a little bit concerned also about that. 5 is a reasonable ban here. But you still just really don't know.
Viable.
You really just don't know if the Rel is going jungle or support right now. So, you know, 2 of these bans that come through feel pretty weak for Hanwha Life, whereas the Rakan ban, insanely high value already. So, 2 of this final ban ends up being here. Could just be a Nautilus ban, which Blitzcrank, it's Duro's Blitzcrank.
Crank?
No Crank in this series potentially. But
Crank
they will
ban?
just go for the Nautilus right away. So I think the Nautilus might have been the better call, but it's Duro. It's Duro. I always give him credit for his crank.
Sure. He's got a good crank. He knows how to crank it. And he's not going to be able to this time. He's just going to have to knot it. It's going to be a naughty boy. And either way, let's move on. Sejuani going to be picked here. Considered, at least, because you would have to put Rel in the bottom lane, which I think is fine.
Yeah.
And let's see.
We'll be locked in here, and Azir still available. They could go Yone.
I was just saying he was playing Nautilus, guys. Duro's playing Nautilus.
Yeah. And I mean, I think it's the Azir or Yone. The Yone they're going to go for, knowing that Roamer is likely to play the Azir here. I think it's pretty reasonable. Like, you have enough magic damage with this Kai'Sa, and now I don't think they have to play AD Kai'Sa like I was saying with the Asante pick. Roamer's going to put it all on the line with Ahri Poppy, with an Aphelios. Yeah, I'd much rather see this, but are you going to get destroyed in lane again? Definitely a matchup that can go both ways. We have seen it go both ways.
Yeah. I feel like a lot, you're right, like it has gone both ways. I do think that a lot of pros feel comfortable playing Yone into Azir, at least on the LCK stage, but we have also seen this in the LCK where you pick the Azir into it if it makes sense with your comp, just because Azir is just great throughout the entire game, so if you can get through lane, you're going to be fine. And yeah, it's a pretty nicely well-rounded comp on the side of Hanwha Life Esports once again, but a lot of synergy and some OP picks, especially that Kai'Sa I'm looking at there on the side of DRX, and they've just been playing the most solid game I've seen so far from any Challengers team in this playoffs.
Yeah, they've got tons of engage, tons of pick, and with the lack of coordination we're seeing from Hanwha, I really worry about, you know, is Lure going to be able to do what Dr. has been able to do on this pick? Is Roamer going to have problems in the laning phase? Is Rooster going to get the Eye of the Herald for the entire and trade for the game a third time in a row? You know, these are the things that we're a little bit concerned about. You got Poppy now, that should help you on objectives at least. You've got some really nice scaling here, and because it's Challengers, the Kai'Sa oppression hasn't always been that coordinated. Like, I feel like it's the lower down the skill brackets you go, it's a little bit tougher to actually pull off late game Kai'Sa.
But is Duckdom a CL player?
No, that's
or an LCK player?
That's a good question. But I mean, also you're just lacking damage, right? Yone is an engaged champion who will do some damage, but obviously he's not going to be able to match an Azir or an Aphelios later on. So if Hanwha can just get themselves together as a 5-man team, I like their draft, but I'm not going to trust like I did in game 1 and 2. I said, oh, the nameplate's on. I think this team has got the ability.
Yeah.
They haven't shown it yet today, but I'm hoping to be wrong, so we don't have a 3-0 stomp on our hands. But that may be just what we get if this early game goes as badly as the last 2 did.
You get what you get. Let's see what we get in game number 3.
That's what you guys wanted, huh? That's what you wanted.
That's what we wanted.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Game 3, everything's on the line. Top laners, based as always. Just looking at each other. Good synergy. Okay, GG.
I guess the reverse sweep is on, Valdez.
This is the beginning. You heard it here first.
Show me that total damage graph.
Futures Market Aphelios.
Yeah, overheal. And just looking around the rest of the Rift. Nothing too crazy. Demolish Cassante.
Oh, it's Futures Market for Kaisa as well.
Yeah, almost always. Got to get that very quick Gnasher's Tooth after getting the fast Shiv, static Shiv. And obviously those two items, very valuable. The faster you get them, the better, because the static Shiv is going to give you more wave clear. You want to rush that one out, and then as your Futures Market scales with your levels, then you get a little bit more value out of it to get the empowered W, because the Gnasher's Tooth will actually allow you to evolve. So, very strong for Kaisa. Actually, one of the best picks, like straight up ever for Futures Market, I think, that we've ever seen. Like Kha'Zix, Kaisa, two picks that really get a ton out of it.
Yeah.
Lilia, it's like sometimes, you know.
Yeah, you could do that. Ziggs, not bad. But
like Karthus, like, you know, he's all right. It's a lot of money early.
Yeah. Who is Dyrus? He's joking. Who will get Delta Towers? I'm guessing Rooster. There's one champion in this game who's going to get it. One player playing a champion. Probably Rooster. We do have Sponge spotted. The Q3 is going to miss, so Roamer can just kite this one out, right? Okay, no, he's just going to get flashed on and die instead. Down goes Roamer. First blood goes to Sponge.
Not again, Valdez! Not again. I mean, this time it was a really nice pathing. Roamer, a bit overextended, but like, it was really just good play more than his error, but it's unfortunate that once again he is just the victim.
Just not respecting the... I mean, you've got the ward there for a reason.
Yeah, and he has no Sand Soldier placed. Avoids the Q3, but Permafrost synergy with Yone is something we've talked about a ton. Really nice flash on the Arctic Assault to guarantee that additional knockup. Permafrost comes through, and that is the first blood going over to the Sejuani. Dark Seal picked up with all the gold he had in his pocket. Showcasing that Lure has also been quite good on this Aphelios pick. No Duck Dom, but, you know, he's pretty good at it.
Uh-oh. Guan's trying to go for the gank, but guess what? Sponge is here, and he's here first. Pleta did take a big chunk, though. As here comes Guan trying to get in onto Sponge. Nice against the wall. Sponge, remember, doesn't have flash. Used it in mid. Pleta also getting locked down, and he is just going to walk this one out.
All right, well, junglers both getting a kill early. And this time, you know, the bottom side play going the way of Hanwha Life Esports. Duckdom, 5-1 on the Kaisa. You know, we said he's an LCK player. See if he can pull it off here. Feels like not the most appropriate time to put these stats up after the loss in the 3v3 bottom side here, but it wasn't his fault. Just a bit of an overextension here. And Poppy's early game is so annoying to deal with. She is just able to do a lot with very little. Her base kit is super strong. If you're overextending, get pushed into a wall, you're not going to have a fun time. The Sponge, a level up here, is going to come over and see what he could do on this Raptor camp.
Yeah, I mean, wow, did he get everything?
I think he did. Like, legit, like the whole flail.
Every single little Raptor, like all the popcorn chickens were his.
Yeah, I think he got all of them and the smite. Yeah, Pleta taking way too much damage, unfortunately, here, and then they kind of happy feet the disengage, and then Guan, he'll take anything he can get, but he does get Sponge, who's flashless.
Max range stun into the wall.
Yeah, but Sponge got him back with the Raptor Steel, so.
Yes.
Look at that, 5 CS up.
Guan just hit level 4. He's Poppy. He's gonna be pressing R and pushing people away. It's kind of like budget Maokai at this point in the game. Nice hold here from Setab. Keeps it pushing into him. Roamer does not have teleport, so he can deny some CS this way. Good laning from Setab, who has definitely been winning the mid matchups so far this series.
It feels like, honestly, in most of our series in playoffs here, it's been all about mid. There was like even some discussion about Saint coming in when Fulbe was struggling into Roamer in the first 2 games of the D+ Hanwha series. We obviously had Call Me coming up big, and you know, Setab getting a little bit put down in that matchup. Maybe he's put his work in after that to come back here and really crush Roamer, who again, I think pretty much unanimously everyone would have said was the best mid laner at this point in time, but I don't think people are going to be having that same conversation. They lose this 3rd game, especially after he gave up first blood. But yeah, it's been so pivotal here in Challengers, whereas in LCK, kind of inconsequential most of the time. In terms of the early game, right? I mean, it's not like we're seeing people play through mid that much.
Yeah, a lot of times mid. Okay, gonna go in on this one. Saytap just gonna dodge that as the Unbound Soul will not be stopped. Guwon, nice taxi there onto the one minion that was perfectly pushed up.
He's so close to 6, actually. They might actually be able to turn this. Saytap also has his ultimate.
Very close.
Really close there. I looked at that XP bar, I was like, danger! But no, it's okay. For Saytap, or for a roamer in this case.
Any flailers?
He's so close to it. There it is.
So soaked like a sponge. The XP from mid. He's level 6 now. No flash for roamer as Saytap is getting in there. Again, you're not really going to stop that, but X Flash committed to. Still this first dragon not taken just yet, but DRX going to make a play for it.
Yep, Greaves online here for Saytap, so he can do a lot of damage to this dragon. If he does stick to it, they can rush it down. Guwon trying to enter this choke with no vision into Sejuani ult. Yeah, there's just no way.
Oh, they're just going to turn onto the Poppy. I think they have enough damage. Yeah, they just immediately 100-0 Guwon.
I just don't understand the thought process here. You don't have enough control bottom side. Sejuani has ult, you don't. And it's almost like he forgot this small little detail. And he's 15 CS down, like those chickens being taken. Okay.
Okay, this is 2v3 as, oh man, the play here from Pleta is huge and Sponge is right there. They did not expect that as the W gonna hit Duro, who is absolutely gonna go down. Will Lure follow him is the question. Is Pleta not gonna chase in?
All 3 games look the same.
Man.
You over-index on it. You're down on numbers. You're down in ultimate. Hanwha, don't do it to us. The fans and the audience are watching on. They want to see this team go on to that lower bracket finals against D+, get the revenge after that reverse sweep, but it just does not look like it's happening. And First Blood goes over in mid. All right, you get the kill bottom side, but then you try to contest Drake, and for what? Your bottom duo isn't close enough to make an impact. Sejuani's going to catch you. They got so much CC. They got a rel. And then the bot decides we're going to go over the wall and make an all-less play. Oh, man, it's just getting real bad here. It's getting real rough.
And Guwon's trying to stuff his presence to get away, which he will, but it's just the mid-jungle diff in this entire series has been so palpable. Like, amazing setup here from Sponge. Like, what are you going to do? You're just dead. He didn't have flash. Like, there was no response. Just being there, didn't expect it. As Duck Dom is going to get pretty low. Not sure how that one started up, but no ult here for Duro, so he must have used it.
Yeah, this is going to feel pretty nice for Hanwha Life. Maybe with this crescendum, they can grab another plate here. Not a ton of minions, though, and Pleta should be able to help clear this up. Maybe, though, they could bait something here. I don't think it's going to happen, but Herald should get dropped. And,
all right, they might be able to kill Pleta here.
Yeah.
He does have Magnet Storm. So there's a chance that he at least pulls one in with him. He's like, really? Okay. Just going to stun down Guwon, who does tank it up. Nice juggle as, oh god, they're just getting stunned down. No! He's going to kill 2 of them.
Oh my god, Valdez!
And Poppy got the kill.
No! No!
Oh no!
I have never seen anything like this in all my days of esports.
Oh,
the
boy.
choke on display. I mean, Pleta outplays this really hard, but you could tell how timid they are. They wait until the wave crashes so they can set this up exactly the way they want. But look at this. Bam! He said no! He said absolutely not! And Guwon gonna take that. Duro can't get the turret aggro away from him. And,
even Yundo got night-botted after that play. Like, that's how you know. That's how you know.
It's not over yet.
It was one of the plays of all time.
No!
Oh, no. Cover your eyes, guys. This one is getting down and dirty. DRX are really just owning them.
I just, like, this could happen in regular season, you know, between a top team and a bottom team, where some mistakes are being made, the other team's playing fast to loose. You know, I could see, like Kwangdong Freaks up against KT or something like that. Yeah, it could look like this in LCK. You know, that could be the kind of gameplay we're seeing here where Bulldog's trying to do something flashy, but backfires. You know, you see some craziness with June, he's going in. Moham, if he's on the roster, you know, one of those types of days. But this is like playoff life on the line. And all 3 games are looking like this. This is just not even a competition between these two teams right now. Game one, there were moments, right? In game one, Hanwha Life, they brought it back a little bit. They punished some mistakes, but since then, there have just been no signs of life.
Yeah, it just feels like it's been slowly circling the drain. You know, that feeling of like, okay, we're like kind of getting out of the whirlpool, maybe, but then they slowly get sucked in, and eventually there's just no hope. And this one, maybe the most one-sided we've seen so far, and not even in the golds. Like, it might be the least lead we've had for DRX at this point in the game, out of all three of the games. But it's it definitely feels the most like desperate for the side of Hanwha Life Esports. And like you said, I think it was like at the beginning of game 2, it's like Hanwha Life Esports, they don't combat getting this behind with more passivity. They combat it with getting even more aggressive and going for even more crazy dives and plays. Like,
Sponge doesn't have his ult yet, but he is lurking here.
yeah,
I'm gonna try to deny this Herald drop.
I mean, they're gonna get in there. Certainly in the 2v2 they can play, but with Duro here, this is going to be rough. The double knockup. In comes Pleta, though. He is gonna get the huge Magnet Storm onto 3 of them and pick up another kill for the team, as that will be pretty huge. Hanwha Life Esports, they do get the crash, but
Pleta has... Loki had a great series, and I think it's time to remind everybody that this guy was, until very recently, an 80 carry player, and he's kind of bounced back and forth between the two throughout his pretty short career thus far. But he is very well-versed at these engaged supports. The Rakan obviously played a great game, though, on last time around, and this time it's like, playing Rel. He's going to deal with the tower dive. He's going to turn these fights that they baited very cleverly. They know that Hanwha just can't seem to help themselves but go in and only in today.
we get denied the soul knowledge. We don't know what it is.
We'll find out in a moment, but Sponge here looks like, okay, he's overextended. He flashes because there's steadfast presence here, but then Pleta comes in so beautifully, helps set this up, and then Setab, his ultimate is coming back online. He didn't have it there. If he has his ult there, it's even worse. He's 2-0-2, went Bork first. It's just one of those games where, you know, you've got Yone who's accelerated, and he wants to win even harder, and I like the build. I like the choice.
Yep. It's a good choice. I just want to see Hanwha Life Esports actually show us what they've got. That the play at mid was like, it was all right. It actually was okay, but Pleta just kind of dunked on them and a little bit far behind. It is Mountain Soul. Thank you, Sajax. And that's going to be huge, especially when you have Cassante and Sejuani and Rel. Like, if you get that Mountain Soul, this game is going to be extremely difficult. Like,
and it's Fed Rel too. Like, he's actually kind of got money.
Yeah. She's going to start carrying soon.
It's like support 0.5. Like, she's almost a not support champion in this game. She's like 1.5 of a support Rel, so she's like practically jungle Rel. Not really, but she's pretty big. And we'll have those extra resistances as Rooster.
Well, Setab, you've been very aggressive with your leads in all of the games, so I suppose this is your one moment in this one, as actually Rooster, he's like, oh crap, you just CC'd me for a long time, and you're pretty fed, so yeah, Setab is going to walk that off. Looking pretty scary, though.
Yeah. Are all these games just going to look the same? Like,
yeah, all three of them exactly the same.
Where's Rooster's Eye of the Herald? Is it going to be on this fight right here?
It is. He's going to get it.
It's just, starting to feel like maybe somehow he gets in here, like, flash steals and grabs the eye and then dies. Nah, he's back, and he doesn't have teleport, so it's not going to be exactly the same. But down here, what do we got cooking, Hanwha Life?
Yeah, this is, it's not Jax, but it is Cassante. Lots of CC comes in as Frog is going to get tapped by that one. Going to take a lot of turret shots in the trade as well. But yeah, Frog just flashes. Duro trying to set this one up. Might be able to, but nope. Just going to stop the back.
This should be a decent amount of damage on the mid, but I think Roamer will be able to keep this turret alive. If Pleta picks up that gold, it should be enough for his Nasher's Tooth, but we'll see what happens with this next wave. There's the charge.
Gonna ult him, and Roamer not going to respect it. Just Emperor's Divides and gets away.
Well, they do get it. Nobody comes over here except Duro. And just gonna let that one charge through. Not able to hit the eye there. A bit tricky as Nautilus, you know. Not the greatest for eye poking, that big giant anchor, but you know, It's not great. It's not great that that damage went through. And as soon as Duckdown backs, he should be able to pick up that Nashor's Tooth. He is kind of lurking around for a potential pick here. Looks like maybe he and Sponge wanted to make something happen with the Killer Instinct, but is just going to clear the wave now instead. And then probably lift the back right afterwards. There it is. And he is going to be hitting that 2-item spike for Kaisa, where he's got everything he needs.
Yeah.
And Rooster, yeah, he didn't get the eye. He's at least going to have something similar here where he gets the turret.
Yeah, remember when I said he was going to get Delta Tower? Look at that. He took out a whole tower by himself.
Got to win the game to get those stats up on screen, though.
True. Yeah, I mean, I could see an angle where if Hamalife Esports eventually win this, maybe Rooster picks up the POG. He's been playing well so far. Has a bounty.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, as I said before, like the game was very one-sided towards DRX, but the gold doesn't really reflect that so far.
Some chatter's really hoping the game goes to 5. It is still theoretically possible. The gold lead, like you said, is not that big. 700 only with that extra gold going over to the Renekton. And here in mid, bit of a group up here for Hanwha. They want to deny this soul point here. 30 seconds until that spawns. Kind of grouped a little bit early, awkwardly though, and with Static Shiv, DRX clear that super quickly and now are coming over to contest. A flank here for Satab is very problematic to deal with.
And the W's keep hitting.
Yeah.
There's the 4th one in a row. Let's see. I'm counting Duckdom. 5. Some of them, you know, kind of a given, but 6. Like, how far is he going to go? Really nice flash. That reaction time was insane. And now Duro going to pay the price, but the Poppy ultimate is good. Cassante is gone. As the Yone ultimate is just gigantic, but no follow-up, and he immediately dies as another W is going to hit from Duckdom. Not sure if he was able to link that, as this one will miss anyway, as finally Hamalife Esports standing up to DRX for it feels like the first time.
Yeah, red-white guns here for Lure make it difficult for Frog to approach. He doesn't have flash, so Lure just going to kind of start chunking him out as, here we go,
okay,
Rooster.
He's going a bit too far. Really nice peel here from the side of Fleta, but the Wombo is here from Hamalife Esports as Frog is getting in there. He finally gets taken out as now flash forward from Lure, and the burst from the Kaisa is not quite enough. Lure will be able to take him down.
Yeah, this is the red-white power of Aphelios in these types of situations where you can outlast this Kaisa. You can do tons of damage in front-to-back team fights here when Rooster sets you up. And Rooster, it looked like he was just not going to actually get it done with that flash play moments ago, but he actually has enough sustain there with Gore Drinker, with Q, with Renekton, that he's actually going to be able to survive long enough for Lure to continue to do that damage. And yeah, there's a great engage, there's great burst here. Frog not able to really link anything together, and if you don't actually kill somebody who's relevant damage, it doesn't necessarily matter if you kill the Nautilus, especially when now you've killed the tank or pushed the tank out of the fight here. Yeah, it's a fantastic engage here, but then you die. Lure's still at half health, and Roamer's at full health. That's 2 big threats to deal with here. Frog is trying to close distance. I think Lure plays this fight so well. Starts layering that damage through, gets a lot of that healing back through, gets his health bar back up to about 70%, and then by the time Frog wants to get into the action, he's dealing with the minion wave. Magnus Storm here is good. They kill one threat, basically. Rooster actually doesn't even die. I thought he died here, but just too many other ones. And then Duckdom tries his best. With red-white rocking. Red-white.
Boomed him.
Boomed him. The Renekton re-engage was pretty good.
Yeah, I think it's DRX going for the re-engage there and like trying to bait out that fight to actually happen, especially when Roamer had Crown again and, you know, you traded mid for support. Not the greatest idea, but our challenger teams love to fight. As DRX, they're just going to start up a Baron at 20 minutes. You're not even in the lead anymore, so definitely pretty questionable. Flash on in, though, as they're just going to take out Roamer. Down he goes, and the turn here is perfect from the side of DRX. Is the damage that they don't quite have it, as now Lure gets enough space. As you saw the follow-up, not quite there. Duckdom not really able to do enough on the Kaisa this early on in the game.
Pretty low on mana. I think DRX definitely losing out on this one. Can't win the longer fight. That's exactly what Hanwha Life's comp does that DRX's doesn't. We talked about it in the draft, and I was, telling you guys, like, okay, there is a world, there is a way if these longer fights happen. And they're happening. And DRX kind of put themselves in a position where that re-engage with Pleta needed to be enough to actually get several kills instantly. Otherwise, they won't be able to compete with the damage, and they just weren't able to do it. As you can see, once again, the collapse here with the Sejuani to try to get a pick onto Roamer comes through, and then everybody is committed. DuckDom's here on the back of the fight too, so it's a great call for him on his ultimate because he's not under any threats. But then Rooster shows up, he can't rejoin. I mean, look at the damage output here of Lure versus what DuckDom is trying to do here. He got the kill, but he can't actually rejoin and do anything. He's super low range, he's playing Kai'Sa, and they will eventually just lose out on that one. So no Baron take here for Hanwha Life, but I'd say the exchange definitely favors them.
Yeah, absolutely. I think DRX is just trying to do too many things at once. Like, if you get that Pleta engage and everybody's there to do some nice damage, then it feels pretty good, but not if only Frog is there. And the damage, you know, on the side of DRX, they have pretty much just Yone and Kai'Sa, so it's not triple threat. You don't have the damage that a Renekton has. You know, maybe in an extended fight, Frog can do some stuff, but he's very far behind where Rooster is. And so now, Hanwha Life Esports in the driver's seat, they're just going to start up the Baron.
Yeah, replace that control ward towards this choke point, make sure that they are not seen on this at all. Force them into this choke.
All right, well, Duro doing a good job tanking up the damage. Teleport is coming in as the, not going to hit him away, actually, as Unstoppable comes through. The damage is there on the Duro, but so is it onto Frog.
This is very awkward here for Hanwha Life.
Yeah, Poke's coming through.
And Rooster is ult sticking away here. Poke is really stacking up now, and they're actually in a really awkward spot where getting back into this pit to contest is tough. Roamer has ult. He has to make a clutch play here, I think. Otherwise, you're just giving this one up.
Oh, man.
Setab going to go ahead and take an inner because of that crash earlier. These things stack up. And the poke just keeps landing, so you got to be decisive here, Hanwha.
Yeah, they're taking a lot of damage. That one mostly hitting shields, but Hanwha Life Esports, they have decided that they're not going to fight for the Baron. They're just going to back away, but they're losing a lot of map control. Guwon, that is not the bush you wanted to run towards, and he will run back.
Roamer has teleport. He could just TP in, but where's he going to get to? Not a great angle for him. He has to go to top.
Yeah, I know. They're just going to turn here onto Rooster with the stopwatch. Kind of questionable, but the turn here is perfect from the Relics. Now they get that engaged. The lure carry is not going to happen in this game any longer. They get that flank as Pleta just beautiful as the W's just keep hitting here from DuckDom, as now the Kai'Sa is fully online and DRX have taken control back of the game.
Honestly, like, there's so many, if DRX end up taking this, there's so many votes you could go for POG. Like, each individual player has had so many phenomenal moments between DuckDom constantly landing poke, the really decisive calls from Setab, and Pleta obviously has been really great with these turns on the Rel. And I mean, for me, this moment is pretty, like, elementary, though. Like, this is really cool, and it's everybody pressing their buttons together. But the real critical fight was what happened before this, where Hanwha Life actually lost control and actually awkwardly backed away, didn't commit to contest, lost turret, and then lost control of the Baron. Because you're never going to win that fight, unfortunately, as Hanwha Life.
You're exactly right. They put themselves in a position to get absolutely booms. And Pleta and the squad, they looked amazing for it because they are a really good team as... Man, Skynet's working really hard today.
Yeah, Skynet's got to get in there.
I don't know why our chat is so toxic today.
I think a lot of people thought this series was going to be closer than it was, and
yeah,
including me. Like, I'm a 3-2 predictor, a Hanwha Life predictor at that, and
same.
This didn't show up as this is potentially everybody gets wiped. Setab's on the flank. This could be the end of the game.
We do have the Poppy ultimate out, but Poppy's just dead, as now we got the Yone in. Everybody is going to dodge that ultimate pretty nicely, as Lure will get some space, but he is alone. The front line is gone, and a massive Magnet Storm comes in again, and that is just the end of everyone. Rooster going to try to stop the wave, and this one might just be all she wrote. Rooster just going to run down here, pull the wave, and I'm voting for Pleta, Wolf.
Oh yeah, I'm voting for Pleta after that fight. Well, with the bot push here, it'll take them a little while, but they can start to put some real damage into the main base, but that was a really good pull from Rooster. And Lure, watch his flash as well in this moment. Avoids the Sejuani ult, good hook from Duro. Like, you can see the individual plays here for Hanwha is quite clean, as Lure dodges this ult. That's actually fantastic. But they're just so far behind. The fact that the enemy team is behind them here means they're just completely trapped, and then The Magnet Storm is on everybody, but there's no escape. Like, he's just pressing R on people who are stuck in a cage that they set up. And then because of the wave pull and because there was an inner down there, there's no way for DRX to try to end or try to take that bot inhibitor. So Hanwha Life still hanging on by the thread of a thread in this game, but
yeah. I mean, it's not technically over. It is still Challengers, baby, but I think that DRX are really going to have to overstep. And the reason why I don't think that's going to happen is because they haven't done that all series long, except save tab like a couple of times, and that can happen. It's Challengers, right? So, and he's gotten a lot of work done with his aggressive plays as well. So you could say that it's just high risk, high reward, and I think that DRX are just too solid today. Hanwha Life Esports have been answered at every single turn, even with some of the leads that they were able to get in a couple of the games.
Pleta, the way he uses his ultimate and how well he turns with it is just like, he's like, I am the end of the fight. That's who I am.
Yeah.
If I'm ulting first, which is rare in this game, it's
like
the end of the fight also.
Ults on Azir, you
yeah.
know? He's not really setting it up. He's waiting until everybody uses everything, and then he goes in and gets the game-changing ult.
But like, if he does go in first, it's also the end of the fight. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
He knows when it's the end of the fight, and he's like, it's I'm ending this. This fight is over now. I said so, and I'm gonna press R, and I'm gonna get follow-up stuns, and it is really cool to watch how he is just the ender.
He is the ender, the weird champ.
He's the Omega. Okay.
No, he's been great, and so is Duckdom. You know, you called him out in a good way, right? Saying that he's been excellent, just pretty much hitting every single W that we've seen on the screen except the one from before. And that's why his damage is so high, and
why he might get the boom boom votes. But
he's getting a death cap as well soon.
I'm a Pleta voter. The OG 80 carry for DRX, you know?
Yeah.
As, yeah, death cap, like you say, coming online soon. It's a tragedy, I think, what we've watched here for Hanwha. Not because they lost, but the way in which they lost and how they showed, I think, if you're watching for the Challengers for the first time today and you're watching Hanwha today and you watch this 3-0 and you go home, you're like, I don't know why anyone would predict this team. Like, I don't understand why people think this team is good, is probably what you might think walking away from this. And it's dishonest what they have shown. Like, if you walk away from that, it's like not fair because it's just not true. But it's true today when it matters this much in a best of 5 to go to that lower bracket finals. You got to show up on the day in these playoff best of 5s, and if you don't, no one will remember how well you did at the end of round 2. No one will remember how well you did against D+, where you almost defeated them, where you took that 2-0 lead and then fell behind.
Oh, futures market. I was like, what? You're like 300 gold away. Aha. And that's enough to get a death cap.
Yep.
So, boom boom damage. It was already being done. Now it's going to be really done. Oh, God.
Yep.
2.
Through the shield. He just doesn't care.
3. Oh, he missed. He hit the minion. 3.25. Yeah, don't engage on the Sejuani. That's one thing I'll say.
Baron's up in 10. This is your last chance to bring the series back from the brink, Hanwha. With a really big Poppy ultimate. It has to be Guwon who starts it off.
Yeah.
Win like a 5v4. This is really awkward. DRX gonna start up the dragon here. It's Mountain Soul.
That was only 2 Ws, Wolf.
Yeah.
That was only... No, he's dead! Are you kidding me?
And Satab's not even here.
What is this gaming? Is this allowed?
And when it matters most, like, you know, Hanwha have been so explosive, so aggressive, so ready to send it all series long, but when it matters most on these Baron contests, that's been the one time where they freeze up and they don't send it. They have the 5v4 angle, they have the Poppy, and they just wait and get poked out.
Well, he's going to go flying. Guwon might be able to steal this. Okay, he's going to take a Baron. Nicely done, I guess. DRX is going to allow the Poppy to just get into the pit, and Guwon finally going to get something done.
I mean, to be fair, DRX were split trying to get Mountain Soul at the same time. It was not the cleanest take for them. They just relied on that kill onto the Azir. They felt comfortable. Probably could have done a lot better at controlling Guwon there and making sure he couldn't get into the pit, but they wanted to rush it down during that interim window. But at the end of the day, yeah, you lost the Baron, and it's going to be Baron buff minions to defend, but they're still defending because the map control is absolutely DRX's, and they're going to continue to push. Cassante went demolished, we mentioned it earlier in the room, so every time he gets on top of these turrets, they start to disappear. And, I mean, basically Santab has told his team he's just going to try to go full build here. He's like, I'm going to take the jungle camps, and, like, you guys can push against this Baron, I guess. He's, like, not here. He hasn't been here for a while. He's got teleport. I'm side lane threat Yone.
Yeah. He'll be there when they need him. Yeah. Can't talk about a certain player or you will be banned. I mean, if you're toxic towards any player, you will be banned. That's true. Doesn't matter which player it is. That is the way it goes in challengers. So,
Roma
nice.
was the player that had to come up big for his team in this series. Had to bounce back. And I was a big Roamer believer. Like, I was a Feisty believer once before, you know? I've been burned by my mids a little bit, but you know what? Like, Roamer's had a pretty good career so far here in Challengers. I think that he will bounce back as a player. I think he's very good. I think he's definitely got potential to be picked up in the LCK, if not next year, maybe the year after. But this was just not his day, and this was not Hanwha Life's day. Not at all. Unfortunately, if you're a Hanwha fan, fans were calling for, I want that reverse sweep. I want the 5-gamer here in the studio, in Twitch chat, and YouTube chat. But I just don't see the angles.
They didn't kill the ward. Sponge just standing there right outside of the range of the Sand Soldier. And the side lane threats on the side of DRX, you know, Rooster just has to group because if he doesn't, you're never going to win a fight. So that means that Frog gets to get some pressure in a side lane. Obviously, Satab has been doing that the entire game. And so they're just playing a 1-3-1. I guess waiting for, I mean, this Baron power play, obviously, on the side of Hanwha Life Esports isn't going to get much done, but it does mean that DRX can't push to end the game. And so, just waiting for the Elder, perhaps.
20 seconds left on this Baron. And if Hanwha never come to DRX and just hide in their base, they will be able to get some additional items. Blue already got his LDR, working towards the 4th. Zonia is on the way for Roamer. It's not really going to be what saves them, but I mean, they have some free farm time here until that Elder spawns, unless they try to force a fight. Because there's nothing else that Hanwha, or rather that DRX can do to force Hanwha to come to them, because they have a Yone and Cassante side lane. Yeah, the Shiv wave clear here is great for DRX. They can always keep this mid-wave pushed, but there's not really great siege on the inhibitor turrets, so it's going to be a case of once we have Elder, then we can push to end. So like you say, it is kind of a circling of the drain, but it does give Hanwha Life Esports the opportunity for one more team fight. There's the Zonias. We'll see what that ends up being for Lure. Maybe it's Bloodthirster as his next item. Looks like Sterix coming up for Rooster.
Why didn't Satab go Zonias? I'm just curious.
Just don't know if that's the right call. I think he wants to do more damage. He's got
Void Staff completed. Duck Dom, he has hit Kaisa Kaizodia. And I think with Mountain Soul and the fact that he's Kaisa, he doesn't have cleanse. I mean, there's not a lot to cleanse, to be honest. So actually, probably better that he doesn't have cleanse. But yeah, he doesn't have to get anywhere near them. He can just sit back, and he's a turret. He's like a better version of Xerath now. And Hanwha Life Esports from behind, like, I don't know what you can do. You have to force something. Well, it's probably the best person to soak it because
he has Bloodthirster and Overheal, and he's like, he's actually fine. But the thing is, like, what DRX are doing, which is the bare minimum, but all that's required is just clearing waves to get prio, and the Shiv is still going to be valuable for Kaisa to do that. Okay, stopwatch picked up, and Sterix is done for Rooster. This is your best chance that you're ever going to have as Hanwha to flip this game on a Baron in Challengers in Game 3 to start the reverse sweep. Like, there's never been a more Challengers moment than this.
Yeah, it's about to get pretty Challengers, baby. Is I think what we're about to see. But let's see. Hanwha Life Esports, their Nexus hasn't died. Okay,
Their inhibitors
they're
are
still here. They've got 5 people in the river.
And Yone doesn't have a great flank angle here either. They know where he is, as it's really just about the speed at which Hanwha Life decide to engage.
Okay, well,
they have to be decisive. Like, that's what they haven't been in this late game.
You can't sit here and play, you know, let's dodge the fish in a barrel game. Because DRX are pretty good at playing that, and Duckdom has been insanely accurate with that W all game long, so either you engage, or you're just going to get poked out. It's one or the other. You don't have an option here. So let's see, as once again, Pleta, really insane angle here. Setap has it as well. And let's see, as they do have an idea that Pleta is around.
Use that, yeah, deny that blast cone. That's really nice.
Setap here, they're going to try to engage as Duro's getting low. He's going to catch Lure, and that might just be the end of it. Puts in the Moonlight Vigil. Lure will get away, as now he's got a frontline, huge damage. Duckdom goes down, as do they have enough threats? I think they do still, as Lure is going to be taken out, and DRX might just be able to end this game. Rooster does get the one, but with Sponge and Setap alone, that tanky build working out well for Setap, doesn't take any damage, and they will win the fight.
All right, Rooster didn't pop his GA. He has teleport. If there's some magical way you could slow this Elder down for respawns, maybe they could deny it, but I just don't see that happening. But what are you going to do? I mean, if they take Elder, that's game, basically. And he's just going to push mid, try to deny any waves coming towards his base. He's trying to prep for the inevitable push that's going to come down. There's no way he wins this fight without the heals from the base, but if he goes back to base and teleports in, it's just not going to be fast enough. As what's really cool about how Frog plays this fight out, as we're going to see in live, this is being taken. Frog actually pulls Rooster away after Lure gets zoned out and is pushed, and like pulling the Renekton away from this actually is really huge, because if Renekton is in the thick of things getting Q heals off while the stopwatch is completing for Lure, and he pops out of it and heals through with his shield, with his, or rather with his Bloodthirster, then it could be really problematic. So I actually really like that Frog pulls that Renekton out, even at the cost of his own life in the 1v1. That is, I think, to me, the critical reason why DRX won that fight despite Duckdom dying. Starting the Baron.
Kind of unnecessary, but you know. You gotta do what you gotta do. They delayed the Elder for Duckdom, by the way, and now if he hits a W, he might just die from one. You know, let's see. Especially if he does hit a squishy target like Lure, who is essentially just being escorted right now. Sponge is so tanky that he... Okay, well...
He's gotta hit two. He's gotta hit two.
Yeah, he's gotta hit two. He wasn't escorted very well. I feel like I cursed the escort, didn't I? As that one nicely dodged.
This is a little bit shaky here.
Yeah, a little bit. You know, nice ults here on the Sponge. As DRX still going to force it. Pleta going to get in there, as the damage with the Elder might just be too much, and the Sejuani ultimate just going to push Lure away. As now Duckdom gets in there, assassinates that back line, and this should do it. DRX just going to look to take the 3-0 tonight. Hanwha Life Esports, they tried to make a stand here in Game 3, but it was just not enough. The Elder buff will get the job done, and they should win Game 3 in about 40 minutes.
3-0 on the day, the least challengers thing we've seen in a while. Just DRX coming up with better individual plays, better team plays. And Pleta on this rel coming up big. He played every game this series to an incredible level. I'm still going to give him my vote, even with the Duckdom Kaisa angle. Frog playing that last team fight on Elder extremely well. Just a team effort here. And despite what was a little bit of a shaky setup there on the Baron, it just ultimately doesn't matter, because Hanwha Life didn't have the money that required. They didn't have Elder buff. And that's the real main story of that last fight. And that's going to be it. DRX will take a 3-0. I'm putting in my last POG. And
last POG of the series.
Yeah, last POG for us before we go to Daejun. Hanwha, they really just didn't make it happen tonight, and it's unfortunate. Like I said, I feel like they're capable of way more than what they saw tonight. But on the day, DRX showed up way harder, as Pleta once again just waiting. X flashes in. Magnet Storm comes through, he sacrifices himself, and then all of the extra damage comes through. Buys enough time for the Sponge to show up, and then Duckdom gets on board.
The wall. He's like, no, I am going to kill you.
Yeah, Rooster has GA, but will ultimately just slice, but no dice. I mean, dice is all like, there's no dice.
Yeah.
Scenario, and...
slice, dice, no dice. Yep.
It's the early games for Hanwha Life really put them in this position, and there's no other ways to say it. And I feel like DRX going into their next series against D+, I don't know who I favor because I feel like I didn't learn hardly anything about DRX in this series.
Yeah, I mean, they played well, but as we've been kind of highlighting, Life Esports did not play to any kind of similar level that we're used to, so DRX kind of roll over them. And DK have been looking a little bit rough, like they did get kind of bopped by Nongshim, so I'm probably going to end up going for DRX at the end of the day.
I think I will too
see.
because of the thumb situation, like Pleta versus Thumb, you really got to lean Pleta. Duck Dom versus Rahel sounds like a pretty lopsided match. Excuse me, lopsided matchup potentially, and then Saytap when he's on, you know, a Pulbay who's been up and down. Like I feel pretty comfortable leaning towards DRX, but there's maybe a little bit of false data. Like a lot of these fights where we're like, oh, sick Magnet Storm, we're also just kind of like, yeah, he set it up and he was really patient, but also Hanwha Life were checkmated.
Yeah.
And he kills the king. Like,
but who
it's
checkmated
over.
them?
Yeah, I mean, they
was it Hanwha Life themselves, or
yeah, I mean, that's the question that we have to ask, right? And I'm probably gonna have to talk amongst our team and like do a little bit of review of that last
Yunda
D+.
joined us on the Pleta vote.
Nice.
I feel like Sponge could get a lot of wins here. He got 2 solo kills. Solo kill 2 for the Rel.
Yeah.
Huge.
I think there's going to be a bit of a review process for me before I decide who I'm going to predict, but one thing I can tell you guys for sure is they were the better team tonight. Pleta looked great. Duck Dom looked great. Saytab looked great in lane. And then Sponge, as someone in the chat said, like really felt like he had his opposition's number. As speaking of, like, really just great early games. Like, it was he who assisted in the dismantling of Roamer in the early game. And then, you know, you look at some of these fights here bottom side, like, yeah, this one went well, but then hard forcing here to contest the Drake. These are calls that we just don't really expect from a team like Hanwha Life, who've normally been pretty passive and willing to scale and play towards lure. And I think it's that D+ series that really made them feel like they need to change their playstyle and force, and the experiment was not a success.
Yeah, not a success. And yeah, Sponge did so much for the team as well. Like the pressure there. This was kind of funny. You know, this is a Pleta highlight, but also kind of a Hanwha Life Esports face plant.
Yeah, a bit of a low light.
Down.
As Guan actually drops turret aggro and the Aphelios tanks the damage, he dies anyways. And that turret had ramped quite significantly, and then moments like this, you know, you want to have hope that like HLE, oh, they found the angle, like they're coordinated, but then DRX are just one step ahead. Rooster, this was honestly a pretty great play from him. And then, you know, we were talking about maybe he was going to be the POG angle. He had a few pretty significant moments in this game, but ultimately this fight, which looked like maybe it was turning things around, gave HLE a bit of a lead, wasn't enough.
Wasn't enough. And we got to see a lot of team fights that looked exactly like this. Pleta waiting for the exact right moment. You see he's holding it, and then he waits until this is set up, and then it's just free. Just really good team play as well from DRX. So, you know, if this were a bit messier from DRX, I could see some angles where maybe Hanwha Life Esports, even though they weren't playing great, maybe they could take like a couple fights here and there, and then who knows, maybe this game looks entirely different. But yeah, DRX also had a fantastic series.
Look at this from Frog. This is like my favorite Frog play of the final game. Yeah, don't look at that. But like, if Rooster is on top of DRX here, I actually think they have a pretty decent chance of winning this fight. But yeah, he wins the 1v1, but wasn't able to layer all that damage by time. This was, again, looked kind of scary. You know, the engage here from Pleta doesn't get a ton of value, but Elder did. Yeah. And Duck Dom just deletes Lure. If Lure lives, you know, and they don't have Elder, and they're, you know, on gold parity, like, I don't think that's too significant. Almost everyone's full build at this point. Maybe they could have won it. It was a good try. They showed some resilience in that final game, but we're gonna have an interview with DRX on the Korean stream.
Looks like only 3 players, like the 3 POGs probably.
Yeah.
You got Pleta, you got Duck Dom for game 1. Who was game 2 again?
Saytab, I think he got it.
Saytab, yeah. Yep. So those 3. Oh, don't worry, the Cringecaster duo, that's us.
That's us.
He's not being mean. That's just our name. Although
I thought we were going to be 3-1 cringers today.
3-1 is really the only way to be cringe. Although I feel like this is pretty cringe because it was a 3-0 that wasn't very fun. You know, it's kind of just like a beatdown. If you're a DRX fan or a Duck Dumb fan, sure that feels good. But not a lot of high-level back-and-forth competitive League of Legends today, so a bit cringe.
Bit cringe, but, you know, we always want a 5-gamer. We don't always get the 5-gamer. Those silver scrapes here today. I'd say there's a decent chance in that D+ series we get it. And in the Nongshim series in the finals against either DRX or D+, whoever goes up to meet them.
I feel like... Oh, it's Syjax? Okay.
I always kind of thought it was Syjax, but you guys always said Syjax, so I just trusted.
Syjax is more of like what I am used to. I don't know, in my brain.
You know what? Never be afraid to tell us the truth, though. Syjax.
DRX. Oh, you're not going to be there on Monday and Tuesday? It's going to be a banger. Do you think DRX continues their undefeated streak with First Blood in next series? So they're 5-0 with First Blood in playoffs.
Probably. Although I think D+ will stand up to them a little bit better. Than what happened in this one, but.
Well, hope to see you next year, Syjax. StarCraft.
That's right. Will the carpet ever return to the space?
Probably not. I think the carpet space was a one-time thing.
We might have some sort of different, like, floor setup with something on it, but I don't think it will not be the same carpet. I don't think that exists anymore.
How about a desk?
No, I could see it. I'm kind of down with it, but
yeah. Quick 3-0, nothing to see here. Yeah, Chronicler is its Daejeon. Yeah, the series wasn't that good, Chronicler, to be honest. Some of the esports kind of face planted, and DRX were like, thank you very much. We are just going to own you. So even if you missed the games, they were all kind of like that. A lot of mid-diff, like Romer really had a struggle series. Duck Dom, if he was ever able to scale, just did whatever he wanted. Got Aphelios 2 games. Got it in the first game with like 580 carry or 680 carry bands. Got Aphelios anyway. And then he just got Kaisa in game 3.
Yeah, game 1 was like really rough. Yeah. But game 3, like actually Hanwha eventually got a gold lead at some point, but like the early game of game 3 was like, ooh, like it was brutal. It was one of the biggest underperformances I think I've seen in years. It was really just the team is clearly tilted or frustrated or not playing at their best. Like,
the dive incident.
The dive incident.
We're not talking about the podcast.
Oh, there were 2 dive incidents, weren't there? There was one in game 1. There was one in game 3.
Ooh. Yeah, we had one, Chronicler, if you missed it. 3 people dived a rel with flash and ults. Or, no, I don't think he even had flash.
Yeah.
No, he just magnet stormed the 3 of them because they all piled on her, and then he crashed down 2 of them and got 2 kills. Did die in the end, but yeah, the 1 kill that killed Rel wasn't the 80 carry, it was Guwon, so it was like, it was rough. The dive incident, number 2, Electric Boogaloo.
Yeah. It is over. I know it was over pretty quickly, but it is over.
It was Dr. X over.
Sure.
Doctor's Rover.
Doctor's over.
Doctor's over. Doctor's orders.
I don't think we will have 3-0s in the next few days. I don't think so.
Probably. Yeah, I'm not even a Shirley, or I think we're just not going to have 3-0s in the next couple of days. You didn't think we would either today, Wolf.
No.
But the results say otherwise.
They do?
Yes, we called for a doctor. Hello, Dr. Turkey.
It's also important to remind everyone, like we talked about this earlier in the series, but Hanwha Life won both series against DRX in regular season.
Atlas is trapped in YouTube chat. Oh, God.
He's just made
Get
his
him
own
out there.
choice. He's made his own choice.
That's pretty crunch.
You guys never responded to me when I typed in YouTube chat.
Really?
So I just quit typing in YouTube chat.
It's probably a good idea.
I actually watch on
Maybe
YouTube.
we didn't want to acknowledge it.
I watch on YouTube, but then I have to open Twitch chat in a separate browser to get you guys to notice me. But you guys notice, or you notice Atlas at least.
I'm glad that it's only Atlas and Alexander now. Like, Alexander is the best YouTube chatter, like, by far.
Easily.
Like, easily. It's so obvious. And then, like, Atlas is just in there, trapped.
Yeah, it seems like after the games are gone, like, a lot of the specific type of chatters leave.
Yeah, it was, we're getting some more toxicity in the Challenger chat. It's pretty cringe.
I think it's just what happens when we get more popular.
True.
We're just getting bigger.
It just means that Skynet needs to work pretty hard, which is rough. We need mods next year, probably. Yeah. We also need 7 TV, and we need channel points, and what else? Emotes?
New suits.
Subs? New suits.
Yeah.
I kind of like the suits. Mic stands? Headsets?
Headsets would be nice. I'd be down to use hand mics and headsets.
Does your arm ever get tired holding that mic?
No, not really. I just want. I want to be able to hear my feedback in my headset.
I want a Gamba. Well, you're not alone.
Challenger's not over, guys. We got 2 more series left.
Yeah.
We got 2 more series of LCK. They're happening first. They're starting tomorrow. So
stage on.
In about, let's see, 21 hours-ish.
Yeah.
Just over 21 hours and 20 minutes from now.
Wow, today was really fast. We're just ending today in under 3 hours. Under 3 hours.
Yeah, under 3 hours. And also, I'm wrong because it starts earlier than 5 p.m. It's 19 hours. My bad, chat. Starts a little bit earlier. It's a weekend broadcast.
Don't do math on
3
stream.
p.m.
Don't do time on stream, especially. That's
don't remember start times are the most important broadcast of the year on stream.
Yeah, 2 hours earlier on the weekend, and for finals, we will start at 3 p.m. KST. Don't miss the pre-show as well. Will be a lot of fun. So we'll have that LCK. It's going to be tomorrow and the next day, and then we have challengers right after losers finals and finals on Monday and Tuesday in Korea. So it's just 5 days, six days in a row of League of Legends in Korea.
6?
Yeah.
Oh, including
Thursday,
today.
Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday.
Okay. Yeah. True.
Yeah. Drive safe. We will. It's going to be a lot of traffic through Seoul, but after that, it's smooth sailing.
Yeah, I'm just going to sit next to him.
And it's stage on. Wolf's just going to play Vampire Survivors the
I
entire
might not,
entire
actually.
ride.
I might just talk to you because I hate
I mean,
like,
you
if
could do
I'm
both.
driving with somebody and then they just like play video games the whole time.
I don't really mind that, personally, but
we'll see. We'll see how I'm feeling, you know?
We'll see.
I'm going to look at that nav and be like, ooh, so how long of a drive is it?
You bet your beard on something. But
I bet my beard on KT coming back in that one game where they were like 10,000 gold behind and they didn't. And then everyone's like, but Wolf said he would do something with his beard if, like, the team that I want to win. I'm like, guys, no. I never.
He's dropping a hard hint.
I'm not betting my beard on that series.
That's not what I mean. Oh, yeah, Holocure, the new Ayaya version of Vampire Survivors. There was also that Hall of Terrors game that was like the anti-Ayaya version of... I mean, people take a good game and they just copy it a million times. For me, I play Brotato.
Vampire survived first, and that's kind of like the one for me, for now.
What beard? Called out.
I mean, I just have, like, I just shaved today, actually, down before finals, so I'm, like, small amount of scruff.
Wolf is not in charge of the music. The Brendo Bus is in charge of the music.
But he has good music taste, so it's actually fine.
Like, the Brendo Bus playlist, you can ask Chronicler about it. He's a big fan.
I listen to, like, wildly different types of music every day.
Can do that,
like,
too.
I think Valdez kind of has, like, a little bit more of a normal set of music that makes sense. I was listening to Synthwave today for some reason. I don't listen to that. But I was like, you know what? I'm vibing with it, doing my prep for finals. Too. I was getting in there.
Yeah, if you get sick of the playlist, you know, playlist has like 300 songs on it, but if you get sick of it, if I get sick of it, I'm like, oh, I like this song from my playlist. I kind of want to listen to this type of music. And it turns out that, you know, not sponsored, no hashtag ad, but the app that I use, you can just go to that song radio and listen to all the songs that are just like that song. And then if you're feeling that type of music, you just listen to that. It's great. good old knee slappers.
Whoa! He showed his knee on challengers.
Now I'm the third one to do it.
I mean, I've never really
There's
showed
only
my
one
knee.
left.
I just showed my pants leg over my what you guys assume is my knee.
True. You haven't shown
You
shorts.
You just
You're
showed
the one
a
who
bare
hasn't.
knee. In some countries, that's illegal, Valdez.
True. And if I were on my individual stream, I would say that's not my knee. But that's a very old Twitch chat meme from way in the
Someone's
past.
parents just like were watching with challengers with their kid, and they love C4, and
Yeah.
then they were like, "I can't let my kid watch challengers anymore." Getting pale
Actually,
kneecaps up here on the
true.
stream, bare,
Not appropriate.
completely open kneecaps. There are children
Hey,
watching.
You know, I just wanted to join. I'm just trying to, for a small moment in time, trying not to be cringe, even though I am part of the cringe duo.
Keep your knees protected.
And I wanted to join the short-wearing casters because I always wear shorts, but Atlas and Chronicler showed that first. So, yeah. Well, 3-0. And that means that HLE Esports, unfortunately, is out of playoffs. We will see them next year, no doubt. And we have D plus Kia waiting for DRX here in the loser final. That's going to happen on Monday.
Yeah. Almost like suspicious how there's lines drawn here. Like the Nongshim Red Force line of the background connects to D plus Kia. What does it mean?
The Faker charging routes. When is Worlds? Challenger Worlds? I don't know.
Challengers Worlds we need. I would love to have like
LCK CL versus LDL.
one team from every Challengers region go into like a 12 like team.
Yeah, like a little mini event.
Yeah, like little like
would be so
round
cool.
robin, best of one round robin, and then like do a small little playoffs group. That'd be cool. I don't know where they'd do it. You gotta like put it in like some neutral location.
Cayman Islands. Obviously.
That'd be fun. So this is of course happening on Monday, not this weekend. It'll be after the finals. So after you're done enjoying Gen.G versus whoever meets them, go check this out. 5 p.m.
Yeah. Basically, just turn on your stream every day. There will be League of Legends happening. There will be finals that are played, both LCK and Challenger League, and you won't want to miss it. Every day is going to be a lot of fun, and we're going to be there every day pretty much. Except, wait, you're doing Tuesday. That's
I'm
right.
not going to be on Monday.
Oh my God, the cringe duo is being broken up.
Yeah,
What does it mean?
It's a little bit of a breakup, but sorry.
Wolf's he's breaking up with me to do the finals cast with Atlas.
I did send in the message after
Wow.
I saw the kneecap on stream. I was like, I think I'm gonna have to
Happened
pull
pretty
Valdez
fast.
from the finals.
Yeah.
So that's just how it is. But like, you've got a better. You're not fired for next year, confirmed.
Oh,
like, you might still have a
that's
chance.
good.
I think you could be back.
Okay.
But we did have to put you on the Monday cast after finals. So
Yeah.
you have to like get home immediately and like try to get ready. I'm just gonna be chilling. So
Yeah. It's also
that's what happens when you put your knee on the stream.
It's also Ghost Lady's birthday on Sunday, so I'm gonna be like back for Sunday. Someone called in the steamboat, I think. And on that note, guys, with that weird sounds that you guys probably can't hear, we are done for this cast. Thanks for watching. Sorry it was a 3-0, and we'll see you tomorrow on the LCK and here on Monday for Challengers. Take care.